In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Pops and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hey, welcome to the show. For real this time. I haven't made any mistakes because by the time this hits the VODs, I will edit out the time I messed up the intro.
See, but
Welcome
you just talked about messing up the intro.
I'm going to edit this out too. Welcome to the show, everyone. This is the first time I'm talking. Yeah, welcome to the show. This is Best Generation. This is the show where me and my nerdy friends conjoin together and complain about nerdy things. And the show is called Best Gen because we are, for the most part, from the same generation, and we happen to think that it is the best generation. We are, however, very loving and accepting of anyone. It doesn't matter. Of all generations, it doesn't matter when you were born. You are welcome to join us tonight, as long as you're willing to admit that Dare was dope, no matter how many kids it inadvertently introduced to drugs.
That's good.
So, tonight's show, we're talking about Raised by Wolves, Season 1, Episode 3, Numero Trace, for my Mexicano viewers. And we might actually talk about Batman again for the third week in a row, because Tanner, you've been gone for 2 weeks.
Yes, I had other stuff going on.
Yeah, we've all talked about Batman to death, but I would like to hear your opinions on Batman. But first, let me introduce our panelists, our contestants. That's the wrong word. We're joined by my brother David, who may have occasionally the bad opinion, but I believe tonight he has made up for it because he sent me a very, very juicy article that will be featured on my favorite segment later in the show. So that I put up with him because occasionally he has good moments. And we're also joined by my friend Tanner, whose beard is coming in quite nicely, and whose girlfriend I just met.
Yeah,
yesterday. We had a good time. And last but not least, also my cousin Jared, whose girlfriend I also just met yesterday, because because I had to bribe him into stopping by my house for 10 minutes before he drove back to Arizona with homemade pie.
It was pretty good pie.
You weren't even going to say hi.
I'm glad we could fit it in. I'm really glad we could fit it in. You know, I have a hard time planning for stuff like that when I know I don't have a lot of time. But
no, you were here for like one day.
Yeah. But it was a good time. Wait. So I want to know though, was it before or after that you met Tanner?
It was after, because he came to the barbecue that you missed.
I was gonna say, so that means he got the brisket and the ribs and all that stuff.
It was good.
Hey, why wasn't I invited to this barbecue?
It was a improv friends party.
Oh, sure. And you've already met my girlfriend years ago. So
Yesterday was exclusively for meeting people's new girlfriends. I haven't met your new girlfriend, David.
not my new girlfriend.
Oh no, I'm not talking about your wife. So
I told you that in confidence.
yeah,
Nice,
Ooh.
nice soundbite.
you got a soundboard now. Yeah. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
So good.
Should we briefly hear Tanner talk about the Batman before we dive into the meat of the show? What'd you think? Tanner?
I gave it.
I just realized I'm drinking from my mug and I'm not holding the handle.
That's okay. You hold your mug however is comfortable.
Well, I don't know why I was doing it. I just saw it on camera and I said, "What on earth am I doing?"
Yeah. I gave it a solid B+, A-.
Yeah,
I really liked it. I was
similar vibes here for
I was
everyone.
on the edge of my seat for most of it. But what really kind of knocked it down from being like, whoa, this is like one of my new favorite movies, was like the last 30 minutes. After
the second, third act.
Yeah, after they caught the Riddler, and then it was like, oh, surprise! Here's all my Reddit bros,
and it was just okay.
Yeah, and it was like, I kind of, if I was thinking of it as like, if this was a comic book storyline, like the part with the Riddler wannabes would have been like an in-between issue of one big arc and another.
between the two stories, the like prologue while it sets up the next big arc.
Yeah, and like there were
you got rid of the Riddler, but there were still a couple stragglers that were following him the whole time, and you got to deal with them in the meantime. But there's a new bad guy in town.
Yeah, and so the thing was, I got what they were doing with that last part. I liked that they showed he didn't get everything, and he's still flawed and learning. And also, it was a whole thing to help develop the Batman character as, oh, I can't just beat people to death. I have to actually, like there's more to helping a city than just beating up all the criminals. And so that was, I could see that they were trying to develop the character that way as kind of like a mini origin. And that was one thing I liked, was that there was an apparent lack of Bruce Wayne. And that was kind of the point of the last 30 minutes was to kind of make him see, oh, I have to play both sides of this. Like it definitely played into this is a new Batman and he's growing. He's still figuring out like how to more effectively do this. But it was like 30 minutes too long. Like I felt like
for sure
either the conversation in Arkham or when they grab him in the coffee shop could have been a perfect ending.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie Seven?
No, I have not.
Okay. It's an homage to Seven. It happens the same way. The bad guy gives himself up at the end, but then there's one last reveal and he wants to like watch the good guys lose. So like that's the entire vibe is an homage to David Fincher's directorial style of filth. Like aesthetic filth, I think is the best way to describe it. Like this is disgusting, but it looks fascinating on camera. Like specifically with the Joker's room set up with like all books everywhere. The Riddler's room. I keep saying the Joker because the Joker acted like. I keep saying the Joker because the Riddler in this movie felt like the Joker in comic books. The Joker's apartment was very much so the villain's apartment from Seven. It's like the same thing. So a lot of people hold the opinion that a flaw of this movie is that there was no Bruce Wayne in it. but exactly the point that you made, I that was the point of the movie, is that he didn't care about Bruce Wayne, and that I liked that.
And like the points where you saw Bruce Wayne, it was in service. It was not the classic like, oh, I got to pretend like everything's hunky dory and have a secret identity. It was, I'm going as Bruce Wayne because there might be a terrorist here, and I can't look into it in another way. So I'm going as Bruce Wayne. It was good.
Yeah,
I thought it was well acted.
The visuals
were
cinematography.
Awesome. The atmosphere was cool. The writing was good, except for the last 30 minutes.
Did you enjoy that one line in the movie about how the whole thing was about white privilege?
I don't think the whole thing was about white privilege, but I think
Catwoman.
Do you want me to get political? Because
sure.
I've actually, this has been something I've been dealing with at my work right now, is actually the disparity between what's actually happening at my school and what my board thinks should happen at the school. Because the board consists of parents of kids who, are from upper class, predominantly white families, but we've got a bunch of underprivileged Latino kids, and like some rules and policies are like it's like it makes sense up here, but it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't work in practice.
Yeah. And so I think that, there's in life, there are definitely things that happen at the expense of the lower class. And for change to actually happen, there needs to be a bit more than empty promises and, beating up one criminal in an alleyway. That was kind of the thing with the Riddler. He was like, this is institutionalized. And just the fact that I know you're referring to what Catwoman said, right?
Yeah. I just thought it was funny because she was saying it to a white guy who was clearly trying to help.
Yeah. But
she's like, and for me, like, it was about institutional power. It really had nothing to do with the color of their skin.
Yeah,
it was like super heavy handed, like, oh, it's just because you're white. Like, no, it's because they have money. You don't have to be white to have money, but
again, and not something I think I can get into, but yes, the main point of the movie, and we get this with the Riddler who is white, was these powerful rich people made all these empty promises and are 100% corrupt.
That's definitely what it was about.
Yeah. And so Catwoman saying what Catwoman would say, I can excuse because Zoe Kravitz was pretty hot. So
okay. The question I have to ask everyone though: wig or no wig?
No wig.
Really?
I got a thing for girls with short hair. And I mean, you met last night.
Yeah, your girlfriend is very cute, and she has short hair, but not that short.
No,
I just every time she took off her wig, I didn't like it.
I was fine. Wig on, wig off. I thought she was an attractive lady.
All right. Well, this has been our We Talk About Batman for 3 weeks in a row straight segment. I think we should move on a little bit. And I realized that last week we forgot to talk about the Kenobi trailer. Did you guys watch the trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Disney Plus Star Wars show? Which we have to watch it on this show, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I was going to ask about Moon Knight, because Moon Knight's coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, I want to do Moon Knight. I want to do Moon Knight too.
But I think I watched the trailer once. I'm kind of at the point with Star Wars where I'm like, oh, cool, and
Yeah,
that's it.
well, out of all the Star Wars and Marvel upcoming properties that they've announced and are working on, Kenobi is the only one that have been truly really excited about. And Mandalorian turned out pretty good. I enjoy it. But all the other ones they announced, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, all the Rebel,
the like 4
Rogue
that are
Squadron
kind
or
of
whatever.
canceled, but they haven't officially announced it
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, they have a whole bunch. But the only one I was really super excited about was Kenobi, and so far the trailer looks pretty good. So I'm excited for it. And then Moon Knight too. Moon Knight looks like it could be a breakout Marvel film.
Yeah, it looks
Marvel
like
series.
it could be. The trailers look good. The track record for me is not promising for Moon Knight. Tanner, you enjoyed some of those shows a little bit more than I did.
Yeah.
I thought honestly, all of the Disney Plus shows started off with a lot of potential for me. They started off like, okay, this could be good, and then just by the end, I was just pissed off every single time.
So the reason why I'm hopeful on Moon Knight is also
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac is fantastic, and because
he was in Star Wars.
I don't.
So
that's not his fault.
No, I'm just saying he couldn't save Star Wars. So
yeah.
I'm on board, but
but
okay.
he's the lead, and it's a character with a split personality.
Yeah.
So he's playing that's going to be cool to see. And then Marvel also dropped like a 1-minute clip, and it definitely has like some horror vibes to it.
Oh yeah.
Which is not something that's been seen. What I also feel is promising is that Moon Knight is kind of in the pantheon of kind of darker, more violent Marvel heroes like the Punisher and Daredevil. And those things were just added to Disney Plus.
Yes.
So much so that they had to add parental controls onto the service.
Yeah, there's graphic stuff in those ones, and they also stripped the Netflix logos intros.
Did they?
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So it's just Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
So I think that that's where some of the failings of WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier are from. They're like, we have to end this on a positive note because they're the heroes and they do things that don't make sense in the story or logically, because they're like, it's supposed to be a family thing, so let's make sure it, it's like, oh, Wanda did it for family, and
she tortured all the kids in the village for family.
Falcon tells the government they need to do better, and it's not like, oh, let's acknowledge.
Falcon tells the government that the terrorists weren't terrorists.
Yeah. And so, I think trying to put the brand friendliness at the end of them were bad. Whereas, with Daredevil, the Netflix series, it was you
could have more failure.
Yeah, and Kingpin busts a dude's head open with a car door, and it's like, ooh, they can go to some dark. So I am excited for Moon Knight, mostly because Dune made me love Oscar Isaac even more than
he is a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was actually with The Force Awakens. Poe was my favorite character going out of the movie. I with the Force Awakens set up interesting stuff. It also had lots of problems, specifically with Luke's character, which made The Last Jedi, it gave The Last Jedi a really hard question to answer. How come Luke's not helping? And a lot of people were disappointed with that answer. But Oscar Isaac's character was a good idea. Yeah.
I also think that Finn's character was a fantastic idea to have a defect, not defect.
Rogue.
Defect. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay. to have a defect stormtrooper, I thought that was great, and then they just don't do anything with him. So, like JJ Abrams is good at his mystery box. He's not good at answering the question to the mystery box.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, right?
I think. Oh yeah, we had the same discussion.
Yeah, that's what I get for being late.
No, but we were talking. But we were talking about something else though. But had the same conclusion.
It wasn't Lost, was it? Because
we talked about Lost.
We mentioned Lost. We mentioned Star Trek, and we mentioned the Star Wars.
Oh, we brought J.J. Abrams up because of Star Trek, because Jared likes Star Trek Discovery.
It's good. It's entertaining. I think it feels like Star Trek too. I don't. Anyway, that's a discussion for another time, I think. But
yeah, I mean, we started saying, "Oh, did we see the Kenobi trailer?" And then I talked about Moon Knight and Marvel for 5 minutes. So
yeah, Moon Knight. So Moon Knight drops
March 31st.
March 30th. Yeah. So the first Sunday of April, we could talk about the first 3 episodes. I don't know if Disney how Disney's going to do it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch Moon Knight. I'm apprehensive, and I feel the same way about Kenobi. Out of all the Disney Plus shows, like, it could have the most potential. It also has the most potential to do the most damage.
Yes.
Which some
Very
of the
true.
things in the trailer excite me, and other things in the trailer are like, it looks like you're going to be causing problems, which I think is the perfect segue to jump into my favorite segment.
Woo!
Let's do some Screen Rats Bad Takes, everybody. I got the sticker. Hold on.
Screen Rants. Bad Takes.
And I didn't do it fast enough. There we go. Okay. This is funny. So this is a Screen Rant article. Original ObiWan plan perfectly highlights Star Wars story problem. If you guys don't know already, this Kenobi show has gone through a lot of changes from its initial conception. It was going to be a movie. Then they made Disney Plus and said, okay, let's turn it into a TV show. And the entire script was rewritten because Kathleen Kennedy came in and made them make some changes, which is worrying. That's the main reason I'm worried, because it's been confirmed that there was a different script and a different plan for the show, and Kathleen Kennedy came in and said, you need to make changes. Okay, so let's look at the things they've changed. Lucasfilm's original plans for Obi-Wan were too similar to The Mandalorian and featured Boba Fett. Mistakes pointing to a bigger Star Wars problem. And if you read through the whole article, their problem with Star Wars is that all of the new ones have not been original. They're not super original, which sure is a point. I don't think that's the main problem with Star Wars, though. What's funny is they go through the original plans for the script, and it's a lot more grounded. It's about Obi-Wan protecting Luke, and something happens and he has to step in and protect Kid Luke from dangers that he's completely unaware of. Which is funny because that's the plot of the book Kenobi.
And comics.
The book Kenobi was 2013, 2 years before Disney kicked all of the Legends content out of canon and The Force Awakens dropped in 2015.
Okay.
So, and this is I haven't read it. I've talked to a lot of people who have, and they say it's really good. It's not like the most exciting action-packed book, but it's a really grounded, really good story about Kenobi having to make moral decisions and say, oh, do I help people or do I stay hidden and keep Luke safe, right? It's like this conundrum. And so all of the problems that Screen Rant highlights here that were removed from the original script are things that used to be canon, which in my opinion is Disney Star Wars' worst problem right now, is that they don't care about Star Wars canon.
Yeah, but a lot of that has been reintroduced in Star Wars canon with
disrespectfully though in most of the time.
There's some really good comics with Kenobi, and it's exactly that. He's on Tatooine, he's trying to stay hidden, and it's actually Black Chrysanthemum, the Wookiee that we've been introduced to in Boba Fett, that comes and anyways, I don't want to get into it, but
it's funny. So it's the Kathleen Kennedy came in and said this is too similar to Star Wars because you have an old beaten up hero who comes in and protects a kid. So get rid of Luke. It's just so funny that like, oh, it's a good thing that we're throwing canon out, and I think that's a terrible take. And she also replaced Darth Maul with Darth Vader. So,
which I think that's a good choice as well.
It doesn't make sense though.
No, it makes perfect sense.
No, they haven't seen each other since their fight.
No.
Yes. That's canon. Or it used to be canon.
When does it say that they haven't seen each other since?
You have that line in A New Hope where I think that's what Alan's referring to, where Darth Vader says, "We meet at last. The last time we met, blah, 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 I was but the learner, but now I am the master."
Yes,
that
it used to be canon that
could still apply
after it used to be canon that after their encounter on Mustafar,
yeah, Lava Planet,
they don't meet until A New Hope.
That
was canon, David.
It was implied. It was not canon.
That was canon.
No, there's other lines that he says that he's.
But my biggest problem,
Vader, and he knows that that's Anakin, and he's more machine-mouthed man.
Because he cut off most of his man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't know.
So it's implied also that they had met previously.
The biggest problem for me, though, isn't that like, oh, the canon says that they never met. It's that if they meet, it causes problems, doesn't it?
No.
Why not?
Because Kenobi has to win the fight.
But then wouldn't Darth Vader know where?
No, not if it happens on Tatooine. If it happens,
but it's canon that he never leaves. It's canon that he never leaves Tatooine.
No, that's not canon at all. He left before.
Yeah.
He left, and then he realized that was his responsibility, and he needed to stay on Tatooine and protect Luke.
That's the decision that he made at the end of Episode 3, though.
He left. The decision he made was to leave him with his aunt and uncle on Tatooine and his protection. So it's something that he wrestles with a lot, and it's hinted at. It's addressed a little bit in the comics. But yeah, it's not. It was never canon that he stayed on Tatooine the whole time, and it was never canon that he never met up with Darth Vader. Before the events of the New Hope.
It was, though.
No, it's not.
I can show you where it was, but okay. I don't know. There's another Star Wars article I want to move on to.
Can I just point out real quick?
Yes.
On this side here, it says Moon Knight clip makes Oscar Isaac's MCU show look like a horror movie.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun article to read.
Yeah, this sounds fun. It's probably a good take.
Yeah. You get
or
that.
They probably watched the trailer and said,
trailer.
"Hey, this looks like horror," and then wrote an article about it that's word salad.
I know. I'm like, we were literally just talking about how it's going to be a horror movie, probably, because that's what the trailer looks like.
I've I've talked to a lot of like hardcore Star Wars fans who said that technically that it was canon that he never left Tatooine, but I can get references and show you later.
It may have been previous.
Yes,
non-Disney canon,
it's been. That's
saying.
my point. Is
Okay.
It's been kicked out. It was
Sure.
canon, and they don't respect it. Which is, in my opinion, is the biggest problem with Star Wars is that you obviously you want to be new and innovative, but you should also be respectful to the people who made the property as big as it was. So I don't think throwing out canon is the right way to go. Obviously, if he's going to fight Darth Vader in the show, it's no longer canon that didn't happen.
Right.
And that's my point. I think that's a bad route to take for Star Wars.
Yeah, but I mean, even before Disney's acquisition, there was different layers of canon. Like some of the novels and video games were more canon than the others. It was a big confusing mess. So I agree with Lucasfilm's decision to scrap that canon, but I wish they would have pulled more from that as inspiration. Because the expanded universe pre Disney's acquisition was convoluted and messy. So,
but also massive.
Very massive, yeah.
With
very
some gems in it. So
yeah, some like really good stuff that they just like.
Right.
Oh, we don't care about. Like
they've been pulling from it, little bits, but it's mostly, Filoni and Favreau and the dedicated lore experts that have been repurposing and retelling those stories.
I have a slightly unrelated question though. The Inquisitor lightsabers, which you get a small glimpse of in this show with the guy's spinny thing. Does anyone else think they look ridiculous? I've never liked the look of Inquisitor lightsabers. They look like protractors.
I'd have to look at. Oh yeah,
yeah, you're right.
They look so silly to me. It's not imposing. I like the idea of Inquisitors. I think that's a cool idea. They're hunting down hiding Jedi. I think that could be. There's a wealth of stories you could tell there, right? The few who survived are being hunted by this group of religious Sith fanatics. I think that's cool. But they don't look cool. Like a lot of the character design too. I'm just like, I'm not scared of this person. That was one of my biggest problems with the video game.
Fallen Jedi,
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah,
none of the villains were scary. The seventh sister, that big brute lady, just looked ridiculous and wasn't scary at all. The main girl, the second sister, was okay until she took off her mask and was just this girl who wasn't scary. And of course, she has a redemption arc at the end, and it was just like, well, then, like, I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of the Inquisitors, and I want to be, because I think that's a good idea. But
I do have to say though, with that lightsaber, when I first saw it, it doesn't make any sense. Like that was my thought. I was like, why would you have that? Like, it really doesn't make any sense to have it. Is it supposed to be sort of like a finger guard or like?
No. So it has a handle and then a circle.
Yeah,
and then it spins, and so you can hold on to the handle, and then the circle.
It's
spins.
a track, so the double blades can spin around. You can just
and in Star Wars Rebels, they use them to fly.
Really?
That's
they use them as helicopters. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Wow. Okay.
I would think an in-universe explanation would be the added mechanics is because, I don't know if I'm right, the Inquisitors aren't Force capable.
Some of them are.
No, they have all of them have the Force.
I was gonna say I thought they were.
Okay.
Most of them were
Darth
former
Vader's,
Jedi.
They're Darth Vader's apprentices, either people he picked up and taught, or Jedi that he captured and tortured and twisted their minds into becoming his slaves.
It was actually the Emperor.
Okay.
Darth Vader didn't know about the Inquisitors at first.
Okay.
But unrelated.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. I just don't. I'm not a fan of the execution. But
I don't know. I think they're fine. I think their lightsabers are cool looking and intimidating, but they are flawed, and they
look cool to
point
you.
that out. And
they look so silly.
I think it's fun intimidation tactic with the spinning lightsabers. But like I said, they're
honestly,
fundamentally
don't
flawed,
even have
and
a
they
problem
take
with the
advantage.
spinning. I just don't like how they look. I think they look silly. But okay. But if you've seen my tabs,
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's a lot of articles.
we have a lot of screenwrite articles to get to. Okay, and the next one's about Star Wars too. Okay, so here's another screen rant bad take. That didn't close. Why didn't that close? Okay. the Book of Boba Fett. Why Boba Fett needs a showdown with Han Solo and one with Mace Windu. Because Mace Windu killed Boba Fett's dad. So a revenge story would be interesting.
Yeah.
And there was a revenge story written into episode 3 originally, but it detracted from the main story of Anakin's conversion to the dark side, so it was cut. And the biggest problem is
Mace
Windu's dead. Yeah.
Not confirmed, but yeah.
Well, it's one of those.
I mean, Star Wars could easily bring him back. I mean, he fell out a window, right? He got his arms chopped off or hands chopped off and thrown out a window.
Yeah, so they bring it up. They're like, well, it would be cool to see Samuel Jackson in Star Wars. Yeah, it was cool to see him, but he's dead. And they bring up the fact that, okay, he's canonically alive because in one interview one time, Samuel Jackson said, oh yeah, it's my personal belief that I survived the fall. And he jokingly says, yeah, and I told George Lucas that, and he said, sure, yeah.
That's strong evidence.
Their last point also talks about the fact that he's dead. They say he was supposed to fight Boba Fett, but then they dropped that and made his death become the final step in Anakin's journey.
Yeah.
So how can he fight Boba Fett?
Because he's dead.
Okay. This has been Screen Rant's Bad Takes. There's more. These next two are just funny. There's a trailer for Puss in Boots 2, and that means give us Shrek 5. Give us Shrek 5.
Wait, there was a Shrek 4?
We want Shrek 5. Yeah,
I only watched the
Shrek
3, I think.
Forever. I'm pretty sure there's 4 Shreks. Huh. How many Shreks
Shrek
are there?
Forever. You have Shrek 2, Shrek the Third, Shrek Forever After.
How many?
Shrek Forever After is regarded by fans as like the true ending to the series.
Yeah, there were
and
4.
Shrek the Third is.
I don't think I've
Wait, it
ever
looks like
seen.
you're the 5th one.
Yeah.
We want
says there's a Shrek 5.
We want Shrek 5. Come on. Michael Myers is getting old. Let's get another Shrek movie out there. Okay. This one's funny. Star Wars isn't the only canon that Disney doesn't care about because they messed up the High School Musical canon.
Oh no.
Juicy drama.
They mixed up summer break with spring break in a tweet and got roasted on Twitter for the plot of High School Musical 2, which I've seen.
I have not seen any of those movies.
I haven't seen any other ones. I've only seen High School Musical 2 because
this is
just the second one.
It's set in New Mexico, but it was filmed in Utah where things are green. Like it's set on a golf course and everything is like beautiful. And New Mexico is a huge desert where the only color is brown and beige and light brown. I know because I grew up there. It is funny though. There is one comp shot of the Sandia Mountains that they like green screen into the background of one of the shots. It's pretty funny.
I'm pretty sure it was filmed in St. George,
yes,
Utah. Yeah.
or some of the stuff. A lot of it was filmed in American Fork. At least the first movie.
Yeah, the first movie was somewhere in like the Salt Lake area.
It was American Fork.
Was it?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
Because I know the high school.
Wow, cats here to stay the day. Gonna
I'll have to look it up. But yeah,
this I think is my problem. Like, don't get me wrong. Thank you, Screen Rant and affiliate websites, for giving me something to do when my work Wi-Fi blocks certain websites off, and I need something.
Which websites?
Reddit is one of them.
Oh, okay.
And I need something to look at while I'm on the toilet. But like, just the fact that Christian, what's the author's name there?
Christian Hodge.
Christian Hodge.
Let's read about it.
A typo in a tweet about a like 15-year-old movie. And like the whole point is
it was summer break, guys.
Spring break is coming up, so Disney's like, "Hey, spring break, you should watch this movie."
But High School Musical 2 was about summer break because they all got summer jobs in New Mexico at a golf course. Okay, it's canon. Be respectful to canon, Tanner. Okay.
So dumb. It's so dumb.
I just thought it was really funny.
Which has me worried as we get further in that I'm going to get more and more angry.
Those last two weren't even bad takes. They were just funny articles.
Yeah.
It gets better. It gets so much better. I'm so excited. These are by far of this segment, which we've done multiple times now. This is the most excited I've ever been for it. Because I have one at the very end that I know will make Tanner furious. So here we got another Screen Rant bad take.
I hate the Sony thing. Because all the Sony people working are like, oh yeah, man. Like Spider-Man, they're in the Morbius movie, and
of course,
of
course, Spider-Man is in the Sony universe. Yeah. Do you know what else confirms this? The trailer for Morbius, because Vulture is in the trailer. We've been talking about that for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that screenshot right there is from the trailer as well.
It's from the trailer.
Why would he not be?
Of course he is. They just made a movie about the Spider-Verse so that they could do this. Of course Spider-Man is in the Sony universe.
That's so dumb.
You know what else is in the Sony universe? The 2 previous Spider-Man franchises.
Yes, because of No Way Home.
Yeah,
it's the Spider-Verse. Not real. It's not even the Sony-verse. It's the Spider-Verse. Of course, Spider-Man's in the Spider-Verse.
I'm kind of bummed about Morbius because
I'm not excited for it.
He's an interesting character, but not worthy of his own solo movie.
Yeah.
Did you guys like Venoms? I haven't seen them.
The first one
I just wasn't interested in either.
Yeah. I wasn't super interested in it either, but I read boxed the first one when it first came out, and it was a surprisingly fun romp. I haven't seen the second one yet.
I've heard that 1 and 2 are just the same movie though, as well.
Yeah,
they makes me less excited to watch any of them. Jared, you've seen them?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I thought they were fun to watch, but again, I kind of watch movies just to kind of entertain me, right? So like,
right, you watch Star Trek Discovery. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right, just to entertain me.
Yeah. It was so funny. So last week, or 2 weeks ago, David and Jared were just like criticizing the heck out of Raised by Wolves, saying like like picking it apart, like, well, why is this and why is this? And then Jared drops this revelation. Well, I really love Star Trek Discovery, and I'm like, wait, how can? It's good.
Credibility out the window. Jacob Ironson brought up a good point.
I was in a different tab, and I didn't even see that we had chats.
Yeah, he said Morbius might be good in a Blade movie,
but not his own movie.
Yeah,
that would be super
would be awesome.
interesting.
Yeah,
but Blade isn't going to be in the Spideyverse. He's in the MCU now. They brought Blade in the Eternals.
Eternals post.
Oh, did they?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't even seen that yet.
Yeah, that's one I haven't seen yet.
Probably should be around to watch that, I suppose.
Which is a great segue for the next Screen Rant Bad Take. So I'm going to skip one because this one has to do with Blade, everybody. The 10 best R-rated superhero movies according to Letterboxd. First off, does anyone know what Letterboxd is?
No.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't even Screen Rant's opinion. They went to another website and said, hey, this website thinks that these are good movies.
Cut and paste. Article written.
First off, David, do you know how many R-rated superhero movies there are?
10? 12?
There's 10. There's 10.
No, there's more than 10.
There's about 10. There aren't very many. And do you want to know why? Because they had to shoehorn in one that's kind of a superhero movie. Okay. This is just a list of R-rated superhero movies. This should just read 10 R-rated superhero movies that we haven't watched, but some people have.
What was the one they shoehorned in?
Bird's Darkman. It's a superhero movie that Sam Raimi made. It's not based off of any comics, though. He made it because he didn't get to direct a different movie, Batman. He wanted to do the Batman, and Tim Burton got it, and so he said, okay, I'm going to make my own superhero movie. He wrote his own comic, which is cool, right? He created Darkman, and there were 2 sequels that were made not by Sam Raimi. But, I mean, it's technically a superhero movie. But, like, there aren't very many R-rated superhero movies. And, like, this is the proof.
Watchmen is on there, right?
Yeah, Blade, Justice League, Kick-Ass, Deadpool 2, and Deadpool 1, eventually Watchmen, The Suicide Squad, and Logan. Logan is a good movie. But it's funny because, like, the ratings, I'm assuming it's like a 5 out of 5 system. They don't tell you what it's out of, but, like, the top one is only a 4. So that is also more proof that this is just a list of R-rated superhero movies.
There was more than that.
Oh,
though.
Jacob, which is your favorite R-rated superhero movie? What was left off the list? Because Snyderverse was on there. Blade's on there. Is it Blade 3? You like Blade 3? Oh no, that one was PG-13, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it? I gotta Google it.
I think it was. Yeah.
On that list? Was that R-rated? I don't even know.
No, Blade 3 was still rated R. It just wasn't good.
So that was the 11th.
Was it better than Darkman though?
Jacob was joking because there aren't any other R-rated superhero movies.
There are a couple more though.
Name one.
Constantine, I think, is rated R. That one's a superhero comic book movie.
Right. I like Constantine.
Yeah,
it did not do well. It's a good movie. You're right.
There's a couple R-rated animated superhero movies.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
All right.
Yeah, Batman: The Killing Joke was rated R, and people didn't like it. It wasn't as good as the comics because they shoehorned in sex with Batgirl.
They don't have Joker on the list. Joker was fantastic.
Yeah, why isn't Joker on this list?
Well, he's not a superhero.
Oh, got it. Got it.
I think it's funny they include the Zack Snyder Justice League cut.
Because the original Justice League was PG-13.
I know, but like
Zack Snyder's was R.
Zack Snyder's is like barely R.
Barely. There's like
Yeah.
two. I think there's 3 F words in it, which is why it's R.
Yeah.
It's not more violent than the original cut. There's just more longer scenes and 1 too many F words for a PG-13 movie.
Yeah. Like it's like, is it really? We grant we grant
also
you the
the,
title of an
It's
R-rated
just
movie.
more evidence that this entire article is a joke.
Yeah. There's also the I think the original Punisher movies. I think there were 2 of them. I think.
Oh,
those
yeah,
are rated
yeah.
R.
They
And there's
weren't
what's that
super
other one
good,
that's
though.
like Punisher, but
Punisher?
Judge Dredd.
Okay,
I think
that's
that was
that's
rated R too.
technically a comic too. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, there's more than 10. That's
They
just a
missed
bad
some.
list.
Yeah.
It's just- There's not that many more that it could be like top 15.
You're right.
We only left 5 off.
Yeah.
This is funny. Okay, all right. We've got so much more though. We've got so much more. Here's another Screen Rant bad take. Luke Cage, how Misty Knight lost her arm.
Just watch the show.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there, Tanner. Misty Knight returned for Luke Cage season 2, spotting a bionic arm, and those who didn't follow all of the Marvel Netflix series may not know why.
Wait,
Then why would they be watching season 2?
That happened in season 1 of Luke Cage, right?
Yes, it's like the finale of season 1.
Yeah.
She loses her arm, and then she comes back with a bionic arm.
See,
Who is this article for?
See, that would make sense if it was in one of the other shows, like if it happened to Jessica Jones or
Yeah, if she
Defenders
lost
or
it
something.
in one of the crossover shows. Then this would make perfect sense. She's not in any of the other crossover shows. Maybe in like one scene, I don't remember. But it says this is for people who are about to watch season 2 and
Yeah.
don't know how she lost her arm.
That's
Why
hilarious.
does this exist?
That is really ridiculous.
Yep.
You know, it's little things like that make these so great. Is that it's just like little things where you're like, this doesn't make any sense at all.
There's so many of these articles where it's like I think I saw one that was like, you know, Turning Red, the new Disney Pixar movie.
Yeah,
They had an article that was the ending of Turning Red explained. A movie for children.
It needs one of the
Needs a
needs an
whole
ending
article to
explained
explain
article.
The ending, like,
Have you watched it, Tanner? Have you watched Turning Red?
yeah, I did.
I
did
mean,
watch
it's like
Turning Red.
Inception at the end. I mean, like mind-boggling. Like, oh my goodness, what was this movie about?
We don't. So I'm guessing. I haven't seen it, but I'm told that Turning Red is a metaphor for puberty, right?
It's not
So-
a metaphor for puberty. It's what happens in the show.
No, that's the end. So the ending of Turning Red, I'm assuming, right, is she goes to a bathroom stall to, pull out the tampon, and it cuts before you know if it's red or not.
Oh,
So you don't know
mm.
was she on her period? We'll never know because all the scenes with her mother take place in the period world. Right? And the scenes with the monster take place in the metaphor world.
Oh my
So-
goodness.
It's hard. That's the farthest I can stretch that joke.
There was another one I saw.
If you
About
see them,
Turning
share them
Red.
with me, man.
It's
It's good content.
I forgot. Okay, well, I'll save it in my pocket for next time. Then
Well, I have the one that you sent me 2 weeks ago.
I know that one,
And
but
then-
there's a different one about Turning Red that just made me angry.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
Was she on her period?
Well,
What do you think? Yes or no?
yes.
Period or no period? Are the kids alive?
Or was it an exclamation mark?
No, she
You
was
get one of those.
it was definitely about puberty and coming of age. So, yes, she was. Because the gift to turn into a panda was only given to the women in the family. So,
Oh, is it a gift? Okay.
yes.
Gift and a curse.
Right. Menstruation's a gift. Okay.
All right, moving
Oh,
on.
that's a good question. Did you guys like Luke Cage? I don't think it deserved. It got a season. Did it get a season 2?
Yes.
Yes, it did.
I don't know if I finished season 2.
I stopped.
I don't think I watched it.
Corwin!
Here's the thing with. Welcome, Corwin. Yes. Let me answer this question really quickly. Luke Cage season 1 started off really, really good. The first half of Luke Cage, I thought, was better than Daredevil season 1. And then, spoilers, if you haven't watched it by now, it's been years. They kill off the villain mid-season. And his replacement sucked.
Yeah.
And was not intimidating at all. And the finale of season 1 was very disappointing and shoehorned in a villain that made no sense and wasn't present for the entire show and we didn't care about. So I love the first half. Honestly, if you just watch until the bad guy dies and just stop, it's better than Daredevil. It was so good. It did not deserve a season 2. And we've lost Corwin.
I think I stopped watching it because in one episode there was a very long and very up close sex scene.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nah, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I tried to watch that one too, and I just couldn't watch it.
I mean, if you don't care about this, like, I'm not saying that that's bad, body positivity.
Yeah. It doesn't show any nudity, but it's pretty personal. Yeah,
I was like, oh, it's
a little excessive. But the action in Luke Cage was really good, and then I didn't like it. But
yeah,
I don't know if I finished season 2. I don't remember anything about it. I probably did. I know that I didn't watch Iron Fist season 2, and I didn't finish Jessica Jones season 2. I think I watched everything else.
Season 2 is not worth watching of Jessica Jones. It was we watched.
I stopped. I stopped because it was bad.
The funny thing is, though, Iron Fist actually got better the next season.
Yeah,
Really?
I'm considering going and watching season 2. I didn't hate Iron Fist season 1.
Yeah.
I actually liked all of the kind of political drama. Like, I thought it was interesting. It's just that the fight scenes sucked because they gave the actors no preparation to choreograph them.
Yeah. The fight scenes were not the greatest, and acting was subpar. But I think mainly the reason why I didn't like it is because I was watching Arrow at the same time, and it just kind of felt like the same story.
Yeah.
And I just got super burnt out on Arrow, and I was like, this is dumb.
And they even the actor for Oliver Queen and
they look very similar.
Very similar, and it was a blonde dude dressed in green coming back to fight the corruption in his company.
Yeah.
I think I had given up on Arrow long before that. So
yeah, well, I was watching them late. There was a couple seasons out, and my wife and I were going through, and we stopped. I kept trying to plow through Arrow, and I think I stopped at season 3. It just was.
I think
terrible.
It started off with a lot of potential. I just couldn't get past the hypocrisy of season 1, and I never started season 2 because after waiting for season 2 to come, I was just like, Season 1 made no sense. He killed a bunch of lackeys and didn't kill any of the people in charge because I have to give them a second chance. But he was just mowing down the thugs.
You were talking about season 2 or 3, Alan. Season
I'm talking.
1.
No, Corwin.
I just watched it because we've had this discussion.
I've only watched
this past week.
I've only watched season 1. I've only watched season 1. And I know that it was a problem in season 1.
Please don't force us to start watching this and reviewing it together. I don't want to watch
I just watched it. The whole season 1 is he's killing people to cross it off his daddy's list.
Yes.
Because me and you
and
have
every time he gets to the big bad, he says, I'll give you a second chance.
That doesn't happen until season 2.
That happens in season 1. That I've only watched season 1, and that's the reason I stopped.
Because season 2 is when he goes through that whole thing, and then he ends up killing a big baddie because some big baddie takes the hot blonde secretary hostage that he loves, and he ends up shooting the big baddie, and that was his whole yeah, sometimes I do have to kill people that are bad. But there was a whole thing in season 2 where he does. Season 1 is just about him crossing off names off his daddy's list.
Yeah, and he doesn't kill any of the big bads. He gives them second chances. Okay, I'm gonna go rewatch Arrow season 1. And then we're gonna have. You guys don't have to do it. I'm gonna rewatch it and hash this out.
Just go watch mid-episode. Go episode 7 and watch him kill the big bad. And be like,
okay, I know that I've.
Owen's right. He actually knows what he's talking about because he just watched it.
But I also know that I've only watched season 1. We can't both be right. I'll go rewatch. Okay.
I actually. The thing with Arrow is the first season or 2 is pretty bad. I remember when I was watching them, I literally was somebody showed it to me and I was like, why are you watching this? This is such a bad show. It's ridiculous. But then for some reason, because they kept ending on cliffhangers or something like that, I was like, oh crap, now I gotta watch another episode. And so I thought it was actually pretty good. I watched all seasons and I was like, I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good too. I'm with you on that one. I didn't think it was a bad show. And then it did start really hardcore go downhill. But most of them do, right? I mean, most of them do.
I just didn't like any of the supporting actors and actresses. Every single character in that show was just annoying to me.
Well, I thought the blonde chick was hot.
Felicity?
Yeah, Felicity. She was hot.
Felicity's a celebrity crush of mine. There's no answer.
Do they end up together in season 12 or whatever?
Spoilers.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, spoilers. Yeah, they end up together, married, the whole shebang.
Oh, okay. At least they did one thing right.
But yeah, his old girlfriend. What was her name?
The one that was on the boat with her.
Laurel. Oh my gosh, she was a.
And she comes back as a superhero. She was just
a nagging, whiny hag the whole time.
I gotta say too, with her specifically, there were times where I was like, oh, that's bad choreographing for their fights. I was like, oh, that is definitely choreographed. Oh, that looks bad.
Yeah.
Corin, I don't know if you can see the screen. We're in the middle of our Screen Rant's Bad Takes segment, which got us talking about the Netflix superhero movies because one of these awful takes was about Luke Cage. But I've got a real spicy one about Star Wars, which I know will make you mad. And it's the next.
That's what I need in my job right now. Something to piss me off.
Yeah,
somebody a ticket to take my anger out. That car looks good.
How many civilians have you detained tonight?
Shockingly, only one. And I'm the only one on duty in my city right now, so it's been kind of crazy. Sorry I didn't join right off the bat. It's just been me running around with my chicken and my head cut off because people who are divorced can't be civil towards one another when kids are involved for whatever reason God only knows.
Okay, well I've got a spicy one, and this is
good. Let's do Star Wars.
Okay, Yoda's lightsaber plot hole proves Star Wars fans misunderstand continuity. A major plot hole involving Yoda's lightsaber has been fixed with ease, proving Star Wars fans misunderstand how canon and continuity works. The plot hole they are talking about comes into play in the Book of Boba Fett show when Luke Skywalker presents Baby Yoda or Grogu, as no one refers to him as, with Yoda's old lightsaber and says you have to choose between the lightsaber and the mithril armor and choose between being a Mandalorian and being a Jedi. Okay. The problem is Yoda loses his lightsaber in episode 3.
The problem is there's a comic which shows what looks like Yoda's lightsaber being destroyed in Infernus.
Yes. He loses it in 3, and then there were canon comic books where the Empire finds it and destroys it.
He lost his lightsaber in 3? I don't remember that.
He's fighting
he drops it in the Senate battle or whatever.
Yeah,
when
they're jumping around on those little hover cars in the Senate room, he loses his lightsaber and then he crawls through the vents to escape. And then there's a comic where they find his lightsaber and they destroy it, and that was his lightsaber. Okay. So with Luke having his lightsaber, it presents a problem. Okay, but they are super condescending to Star Wars fans in this entire article. Star Wars fans are so stupid. They're caught up on this tiny detail when they just fixed it in a new comic book. And the solution is Yoda had more than one lightsaber. Okay, and that's the one that Luke has. Okay, so anyone who was worked up about this is just so focused on, they don't understand how continuity works. They don't understand how canon works, and why would anyone care about this? February 2nd, 2022. Screen Rant presents an article. Yoda's lightsaber is Disney Plus's Star Wars biggest plot hole yet.
Trying to play both sides, I guess.
That's bad.
Like,
But I guess I have a response to this. Who cares?
Yeah. Screen Rant does. Apparently, Screen Rant does, because they're calling anyone who cared about this an idiot.
But see, that's my thing. Who cares? Like, I am a Star Wars geek. Like, there is no ands, ifs, or buts about that. I'm a Star Wars geek. Who cares about this? Like, I didn't even know there was a plot hole until I bring it up. Now they're like, it's the biggest plot hole of all time.
They're the ones that made it a big deal.
I have a lot of other plot holes that we can talk about that are a lot bigger than Yoda lost his lightsaber.
Yeah. And regardless of their explanation of he had 2 lightsabers, is like Jacob says here, in the original trilogy, he does not have a lightsaber. Otherwise, he probably would have used it to show Luke and teaching him how to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
So if he had 2, then why didn't he have one? But also, it's just so funny to see Screen Rant. This is a big problem, and it's a huge plot hole. Anyone who cares about this plot hole is a freaking idiot.
Agreed. Yeah, anyone who cares about this is a moron. Like, move on from Yoda's lightsaber was destroyed in the comics, and yet there's plenty of canon stuff out there that they don't consider canon because Disney doesn't want to consider it canon. Like, it's just such like Disney buying Star Wars was the worst thing to happen to Star Wars since, I don't know, the dawn of time. But that's my personal
since George Lucas edited in a whole musical number into the Return of the
since the special editions. Yeah.
Okay.
Which those were the editions I had as a kid. Our
parents had the original on VHS.
VHSs.
Yep.
Yeah, and he gave them away when he got the DVD copies. I'm like,
because he didn't
Dad,
know.
Are you kidding me?
He didn't.
Those sell for so much.
He didn't know. He bought the DVD box set and gave away our original VHSs, which didn't have the edits. Yeah. And then we sat down and we were dumb kids and we didn't even realize that they were stupid changes. I saw some of the changes and I was like, oh, that's different. That's cool. And then I'm like, I can't believe how much money he could have made selling them, but I wouldn't have sold them. I would have kept them.
Yeah.
So how much money does the original VHS go for?
I don't know.
Look it up on eBay.
Yeah, look it up, David.
But in the meantime,
in the meantime, Tanner sent me an article 2 weeks ago and then refused to come on my show for 2 weeks. You sent me a good old Batman.
Holy crap!
The Batman.
$400
for what? For the whole set of 3?
for not even a pristine one that's like torn up and everything.
For the set of 3 or just one?
The set of 3.
Okay. Yeah.
The trilogy special edition unopened 1997, but that was the edits. But the original VHS are going for $400. I think my dad actually has those. I bet you he would sell them in a heartbeat.
Wow.
All right, Tanner, this is all you.
So this one right here, the Batman just dethroned Chris Evans as the superhero movie crossover king.
Okay, that's a lot to break down, though. So
yes,
why is Chris Evans the superhero movie crossover king?
So the article talks about how Chris Evans was in so many superhero movies. He was in
Fantastic Four.
Then he was Captain America, and I think they mentioned Scott Pilgrim too.
He was in The Losers as well.
Yeah, like so they were like, he's been in so many different superhero movies that he's the one he's in the most and is so cool. But we got a new challenger up and coming, and it's I don't even remember the dude's name.
Robert Pattinson.
No. It's Barry Keoghan.
No.
Yeah, Barry Keoghan, who
how many movies has Barry Keoghan been in?
I think they list the Eternals and then a cameo in the Batman.
So that's
So
2.
But it's
is 2 bigger than 4?
No, it's not.
It's smaller. It's smaller than
really
4.
Makes me mad. Go down. Go down.
Oh, Jacob makes a good point. It's in the same universe. How is it a crossover? The Fantastic because it's the same multiverse.
But it's not.
The Fantastic Four was a different iteration, right? Sure.
Scott Pilgrim doesn't cross over with the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Scroll down.
So keep going. Up. Right below the picture.
Yeah.
So if you've seen the Batman, like the Joker is in shadows,
one scene,
and just talks, and it's like one scene, and they say here, clearly a terrorist team up is looming that could shatter what Heath Ledger did as the Clown and even Jack Nicholson, based on the
10-second performance.
Yeah.
It's basically a post-credit scene that's pre-credits.
Yes.
And
that's making a pretty big assumption, yeah.
They argue, oh man, he was like really good in other movies, but like you can't.
What other movies? He's been in The Eternals and Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Green Knight and Dunkirk. Dunkirk was good. That's 4 movies.
But it's
I don't remember him in Dunkirk at all, though.
No.
I don't. There were several performances that I remember from Dunkirk, not his. I don't even remember he was in the movie.
Like, it's just the article is so convoluted about crossover.
Yeah, he's the crossover king.
Chris Evans was just in a bunch of superhero movies.
Yeah,
he didn't cross over anything.
Yeah, but also him only having 2. How would that dethrone Chris Evans if there was such a thing as a crossover king, which is silly to begin with? How would this make him the new crossover king?
What really gets me is they're like, oh, he could be better than Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson, who both did like really good things with the role of the Joker.
And they don't even mention
Jared Leto.
Anyone could be better than Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah.
But the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix. Sorry, I just spaced.
Oh yeah. It's
that was a really good Joker performance.
Everyone forgets about Mark Hamill too, though. That was a fantastic Joker performance.
Oh, and
animated.
the cartoons, right?
Yeah, he was the voice of the animated Batman series.
Yeah,
he was
Mark
the voice.
Hamill, Joker is phenomenal.
It's
Like,
amazing.
He voiced him in
Think of
in
the
video
crazy
games and a
Joker
bunch
laugh.
of shows.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the Arkham Knight series as well, the video game series.
Yes.
Yeah, when you think of the crazy Joker laugh, like people have it on their ringtone or whatever, like that's what they're
Yeah,
talking about.
that's Mark Hamill.
Is Mark Hamill.
He's fantastic.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty bad. This is the first article that wasn't Screen Rant. Normally, I have some other offenders, but
The CBR is bullcrap too. All their
Yeah.
stuff, just
Yes.
They're all the
garbage.
same. They're the same company.
but Screen Rant is the biggest offender.
Yeah.
Yes. But we've got one more for you tonight, and I am so pleased to share this with the world.
Just the one I sent.
Oh, this is David found this. This is
Yeah,
why
that's right.
This is why I keep him around. And when I read this, I got so upset I threw my phone across the room.
Wow.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Here is, by a long shot, the worst ever Screen Rant bad take I have ever witnessed. Stan Lee created the X-Men out of laziness.
Oh my hell! Sorry.
Even the greatest comic writer in history gets lazy, and Stan Lee admitted he wrote the X-Men to avoid writing the most important part of any story. I'm going to read this entire article. It's that bad.
Pay attention to where he admits that he was lazy. I had to read this article, reread it twice. It was like, doesn't make any sense. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
So stupid. So dumb. I have it on mine right now, and I'm looking at it, and I just this is like,
Don't give them more clicks than they deserve.
The X-Men are one of the most beloved superhero teams in the Marvel Universe, but Stan Lee's reason behind the creation of the team stemmed not from a desire to tell a unique story, but out of sheer laziness. The famed comic creator is known for his many contributions to comics: Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, and sorry, did I just get a notification, or was that someone else? Okay, The Incredible Hulk, and perhaps his most famous creation, Spider-Man. But the X-Men were created to fix a simple problem, one that Lee had trouble solving every time he spearheaded the creation of a superhero. In Marvel's nascent, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
In Marvel's beginnings, Lee's formula for creating superheroes was to introduce a human element into the extraordinary. The Incredible Hulk didn't have control over his abilities. Iron Man was an arms dealer looking to atone for his past sins. These are all like really good ideas, first off. And Spider-Man was just a teenage superhero who notably wasn't a sidekick, okay? But the origins were beginnings to appear. Oh, the origins of these superheroes were beginning to appear distressingly similar. First off, those are all pretty unique. Okay. Cosmic rays for the Fantastic Four, gamma bombs for and radioactive spider bites could only satisfy readers so long before they realized that they were all essentially the same origin, right? Powers from a rapidly introduced plot device. Lee needed something more, and he found it in the genesis of the X-Men. We're going to pause here.
Can you pause? Because
yes.
the rapidly introduced plot device is a staple of the genre.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what. Yes, we know. Yeah, that's why we're reading comics. Because we're not super.
Yeah. Like,
obviously, if you read every single origin story for every comic book ever, there would be some similarities because you have to have an inciting incident that would cause a normal person to not be normal.
Yes, and then they cross the threshold into the unknown. It's basic storytelling, and you need it.
Yep.
I think one of the best descriptions of why comic books were important, especially before internet and just nonstop entertainment TV type stuff. If any of you guys watch Young Sheldon by chance,
No.
actually, if you guys haven't watched Young Sheldon, you should. If you like Big Bang Theory at all, and anyone who's watching, Young Sheldon is awesome. Like, I actually think it's better than Big Bang Theory.
Really?
Alan, I have the first full season. I can give it to you, and you can watch it.
Of Sheldon. Here's the thing with the Big Bang Theory. I thought season 1 was clever, and it very, very quickly became formulaic. I think I finished season 3, and I was just like, I'm not laughing anymore, and then so I stopped.
We're getting on kind of a tangent here because I said it, but season 1, like, I can, if you guys want it, I have it. I can, share it with you guys, and you guys can watch season 1. You will really like it. It's got some of the Big Bang Theory humor, but really it's just like a normal family growing up with a genius child, like Sheldon, just genius kid. Dad's a football coach. Mom, I find
don't relate to him at all.
It doesn't relate with him at all. She's super religious. Alan, you know my mother.
Yes, she's your mom.
Yeah, 100% down to the whole, like.
I would watch a show just about
Jesus
your mom.
is in the grits and eggs. That's my mom. Okay, my mom is uber religious. I love her to death, but oh my gosh, like that's so. Anyway, but it's really, really good. But there's an episode in there where Sheldon is reading. Going back to the original point, Sheldon's reading a comic book. He finds what comic books are. He's like 6 or 7 at the time in high school. And obviously he's a 7-year-old in high school. And so there's a whole bunch of challenges, social and just kind of
and
around
puberty.
Right. And so he opens up the comic book.
My body is going through changes. And that's
he's not quite there.
Comics are telling me that it's a cool thing.
He's only 7 at this point in the show, and he says what you said. He says, "I started reading comic books, even though they're for kids." And it's I can't remember the name of the actor who plays Sheldon Cooper in Big Bang Theory, but he does the overture voice of this one, and he says the actual adult actor. And so he says, because it's he's kind of telling his story. So he says, "I can't, like, they're for kids. I get that, but the reason why I attached to them is because," and he said specifically the X-Men. And that's why I bring this up, because in the episode he says specifically the X-Men is it was a bunch of super gifted kids that were being cast out of society, or society didn't like them, society didn't want them, society didn't understand them, and they're able to create something super. And that's the same thing. When we were reading comic books as kids, it's not because, sometimes, sure, the storytelling's phenomenal and the art's fun and stuff, but it's that whole you're grasping onto. And that's why people like superhero movies, or just hero movies in general. We like to put ourselves in the shoes of being the hero. We like to live that fantasy.
It's escapism.
Yeah, it's escapism. Yeah. And so when they're saying, when they're bringing up this point, it just goes like
it gets worse.
I despair. I really do. When this is what kids these days are reading.
Well, what's funny is like Screen Rant pretends to be like pro nerd. They are advertised as, hey, we're the nerdy guys and we write about nerdy things, when all this is doing is showing that they hate nerds. This is a corporate, like, wolf in sheep's clothing that clearly does not enjoy the medium at all and is just writing listicles to get clicks.
Yep. That's evidenced too by the Star Wars debacle, the two conflicting articles.
I also just saw this. Even Stan Lee admitted Spider-Man would be hated by real-world heroes. And
that sounds like a bad take too.
That sounds like a really bad take that we'll save for later.
Finish this article.
Let's continue.
Please.
Let's continue. That is interesting to hear about young Sheldon, though. I didn't know anyone was watching the show because I wasn't a big fan of the Big Bang Theory. But
I'll give you the first season, and they're short episodes. Sure. I think you'll like it. It's not like Big Bang Theory.
I will give it a shot.
It's very good.
Okay. To continue, while Stan Lee and Jack Kirby are both credited with the X-Men's creation. It was Lee who stumbled upon the idea of mutants. In X-Men, the official guide, Lee writes his idea. Guaranteed I'd never have to worry about explaining the origin of a superpower again. It hit me when I thought of the word mutant. We all know that mutations occur in nature for no apparent reason. A frog would be born with 3 legs, or a banana would be the size of a watermelon, or a child prodigy would have the ability to play Mozart at the age of 3. And the beautiful things about such mutations is that they don't require an explanation. They can happen to anyone. So this is the crux of their argument, that he created a way to make new superheroes without having to give a new origin story, because he created a new origin story, which was super unique.
Not only was it super unique, but it was
so
brilliant.
The crux of their argument is invalidated by the crux of their argument. The X-Men were quickly created after that, and Lee decided to go against cliches.
And now they're complimenting his writing.
And Lee decided to be original with certain characters.
Yep.
Professor X, though confined to a wheelchair, was one of the strongest telepaths alive, and the team's leader. They have a diverse team. And this is a bad thing, apparently. The physically imposing beast was the most literate of the group, and as for Iceman, Lee included him simply because he was a fan of the Fantastic Four's Human Torch and wanted to have the opposite on his team.
So their conclusion,
hence he can make snow, but like, this makes him lazy.
Right.
This is genius.
I want to point out the final sentence here.
Hey, I'll read. Okay.
Okay.
The X-Men would eventually become stand-ins for all persecuted groups. The team of mutants would be hated and feared by most of the Marvel's universe for their differences. It's notable then that Lee didn't have that plot thread in mind when creating the X-Men. The mutant aspect of the team was simply introduced to solve a writing issue. Stan Lee's laziness ended up creating the beloved and powerful X-Men, and the world is better for it.
So, from that, tonally, and obviously the title is meant to be clickbait to get people to be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I think they're trying to get away with being like, look, Stan Lee, even at his laziness, came up with some killer ideas. But
they only say that in the last sentence.
Yeah, it's because they're bad writers, and like I've heard better takes critiquing literature from the 10th graders that I teach.
Yeah,
without getting political, I feel like this is a new type of instead of society rising up to the level of heroes. They want to bring heroes down to our level.
Yeah.
They want to.
They don't want. In general, it's not just superheroes that are a problem. They don't want stories to be fantastical anymore.
Right.
If you look at the movies that the Hollywood's pumping out, like they want everything to be completely representative of today's reality, which is not the reason why we watch movies.
Right.
We watch movies to escape.
And when you take the comic book industry is where it is today, and arguably everything that goes along with the comic book industry, from Comic-Con, video games, movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, DC, all that stuff, it is where it is today because of Stan Lee. Nobody can argue that. Anyone who argues that's an idiot. And was Stan Lee human? Sure. Did Stan Lee have imperfections? Sure. He was the first.
Was Stan Lee lazy?
Was Stan Lee lazy? Heck
No.
no. No, he wasn't lazy. So
What?
why are we allowing, and I guess that, I mean, again, without getting political, but it's a common thing. You see, like, for example, George Washington. I grew up, I'm sure we're all kind of the same age. We all grew up, George Washington was this, he's the father of the United States, yada, yada. And recently he was this evil, awful, terrible person. He wasn't perfect. He did this and that.
They just tore
down
down.
the level of the hero.
They just tore down statues of George Washington.
Right. And instead of rising to the level of the hero, instead of being like, Stan Lee is someone that we need to aspire to be like. If you're a writer, if you're a comic book artist, if you're someone who wants to do this, Stan Lee needs to be the level of glory you need to try to achieve. Instead, it's let's pull Stan Lee down, let's pull George Washington down, let's pull Abraham Lincoln, let's pull George Lucas, let's pull Spielberg, let's pull these people down to our level so it makes us feel good. And that's not
they pulled down statues of Abraham Lincoln too. The guy who freed the slaves.
Yeah, they're bashing him, but again, it's this new concept of let's take down heroes and make them normal people. And I get where that comes from. And Stan Lee was a normal person. Did he have lazy days? Sure he did. We've all got lazy days. But that doesn't mean, on the other flip side, it doesn't mean we need to deify him. I don't deify Stan Lee by any stretch of the imagination, but he is someone that I look to and I go, now that was someone who achieved greatness and I want to be like him, rather than, Stan Lee's like me because he had lazy days. I've just seen this type of article.
Any of us would be lucky to achieve a fragment of Stan Lee's success.
Yes. Yeah.
And Jacob makes a really interesting point, which really echoes what you're saying. And I'm covering your face to do it. It is easy for them to say this now that Stan Lee can't defend himself.
Yes.
This article would not have existed 2 years ago. When did Stan Lee die?
I think it was 2018. Maybe 2019.
Was it that long ago? Goodness.
Yeah,
it's been a while because he did a couple he recorded a couple cameos.
I think you're right.
That were in stock right before he died. So it's been longer than it feels like. There is no way on earth that this article could have existed while he was alive, because if like, you would get slapped so hard for saying
I like, even what he's saying in the quote where they're like, he said he came up with a brilliant overarching solution to
their explanation of why it's lazy proves that it wasn't lazy. Like, he was trying to come up with a new way of doing it that wouldn't feel cliche.
Exactly.
That's the opposite of what you're saying it is.
With an entire universe. And people say, the Marvel and X-Men universe, they're the same. They're not. If you go back, they're not the same universe. They're completely two different alternate universes. They kind of crossed over here and there. Yes. But he came up with an entirely different universe. That is not lazy. That's like saying George R.R. Martin wrote Game of Thrones and he's going to write a prequel because he's lazy. Like, that's what it would be. Like, J.R.R. Tolkien, he wrote Lord of the Rings
current series.
He is lazy because he wrote The Hobbit. And
the correct way to say that is George R.R. Martin is writing a prequel because he doesn't know how to finish his original series.
I was just using it as an example. It was a bad example. I know I could rip him all day. Good Lord, you had 8 years to finish a book. Like that, they actually
spent longer than 8 years, Corwin.
No, I'm saying when they started Game of Thrones movie series, the TV series, I just read an article. I just read or saw an interview of making it.
It's funny that you bring this up because he just barely announced that he's not anywhere close to finishing Winds of Winter.
Yeah, and that's why I started reading. I went down the rabbit hole. And they said, the TV writers said, they were like, we started it. We figured we had 8 years
for him to write 2 books, right?
To get, he was like, we figured we had 8 years for him to finish the last book before he had to start working on the last season.
He had already been working on it.
And he's like, no, I've got nothing.
he had already been working on the second to last book for a couple years when they started.
So they thought they were in the clear. They were like, we're going to be good. We'll be fine.
He should finish the penultimate book, when we're maybe 3 seasons in, and then he'll have the rest of the time to finish the last one. Yeah. The showrunners made a lot of mistakes in the last seasons, but I also feel pretty bad for them.
Oh yeah,
that they thought they could have done well, but they are also to blame though, because they completely gave up.
But I guess I'll just use the J.R.R. Tolkien then. J.R.R. Tolkien is lazy because he wrote Lord of the Rings trilogy and then decided to write The Hobbit.
The Silmarillion. No, The Hobbit came
Silmarillion.
first. Whoa. Well, I'm going to lose subscribers, Corwin. He wrote The Hobbit, and then he wrote The Lord of the Rings, and then the Silmarillion.
So reverse it. He's lazy because he wrote Lord of the Rings and not creating a new universe after he wrote The Hobbit.
He's lazy for creating more stuff for us.
Right, and that's what their argument is. He's lazy because he created an entire universe where he could create more heroes. He's lazy for that. Go, just jump off a cliff.
Yeah.
If I could chime in, I got 2 thoughts here, and I'll start kind of with the with how we deify people and bringing them down, especially me teaching young people. I do see that a lot. They see people like on YouTube and they're like, oh, I can just do that and it'll be fine. And they don't think about like the greater implications of the hard work that takes, even though a lot of the YouTubers they watch are stupid and are bad entertainers.
You're right.
And I definitely think we need to hold things to a higher standard. But I think kind of on the thoughts of especially historical figures who lived in a different time than we did, and things were different back then.
Yes.
There's a epic rap battle.
The same morals that we had.
Yeah. There's a ERB between Thomas Jefferson and what's his name?
I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's Thomas Jefferson, and then
isn't it like Obama or something like that?
No, it's not Obama. It's why can't I think of his name? Frederick Douglass.
Okay.
And Frederick Douglass's last line to Thomas Jefferson is like, you did a ton of great stuff, but there's things that we don't talk about, and we should put an asterisk next to your name. And I think, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln did do great things, but in the times they lived in, some of the stuff isn't what we would consider.
Yeah, and we can't hold them.
But we can't hold them. It was a condition of their time. The second thing that I wanted to say is, in my life, I've seen people who pay money to meet celebrities at Comic-Con, and there have been 2 people who I said that I would want to do that with, and one of them was Stan Lee.
And how many of those people that have ever been paid money to receive a signature, how many of them do you think was solicited more than Stan Lee for that?
None of them.
Yeah. Good answer, because it wouldn't even be close.
No.
Jacob Ironside commented.
Tolkien is lazy for making up several complete languages phonetically and scripturally. Is that how you'd say that? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so lazy. Why can't you just learn the languages that are already established, man? You got to just make up your own fake language? Goodness.
I think
there's also
an individual when I was living in Mexico, when me and Alan were on missions in Mexico, I met an individual, and he was an amazing man to talk to and to listen to. He had lived an extraordinary life, and he told me something. He was very, very rich, and he was living in Puerto Vallarta. And he told me something. He said, we can never achieve perfection, but in our pursuit to achieve perfection, we reach a state of excellence. And I've kind of lived.
That's a good quote.
When he said that, I was like, holy crap. I could go on for hours about that gentleman, but yeah.
I prefer, you're never going to be perfect, so why try? That's my philosophy.
There you go. But that's the point. Was Stan Lee perfect? No. But in his pursuit of being the best, of being the perfect comic book artist, he reached a state of excellence. And I think that just goes for life. In your pursuit of perfection, you'll never reach perfection, but you will reach a state of excellence. And that goes just for anyone, like we were talking about. George Washington, Lincoln, Jefferson, they were not perfect, no, but they reached a state of excellence. And I think that people you created X-Men out of laziness. Just jump off a cliff.
Well, and I think there's definitely an element of pleasure in tearing down someone who was great because you've personally not accomplished anything in your life.
Yeah.
Like if I can take down Stan Lee, who did all these cool things, then my life definitely has some meaning.
Who can't defend himself because he's dead? Yeah.
I definitely haven't wasted my entire life writing top 10 listicles and word salad articles. If I can take down Stan Lee, then I'm better than him.
Can I, when we're ready to move on, can I plug someone who I think is really great?
Yeah. I think we've. Yeah.
Just
do we want to check out this mysterious one first, or when we want to move on from this entire segment?
I think you can read that on your own and save it for later.
Right. Yeah, give us your plug. Give us your plug.
So there's a graphic novelist who I learned a little bit about because I read his most recent graphic novel. Like I said, I teach high school, so I read graphic novels for YA Lit.
You read books?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Wow.
But his name is Gene Luen Yang, and he has written some really good graphic novels to the point where DC hired him to write Superman. And he's also done.
What's his name? What?
Gene Luen Yang. I can actually, if I can share my screen, I can show you what he looks like and some of the stuff he's done.
I just pulled him up.
Do you have to? There we go.
You should be able to.
Yeah.
Whoa, Inception.
That is epic.
How's that? Does that work now?
He looks like a comic.
Yes. Well, this is how he portrayed himself.
Tanner, that's not a real person.
No, but this is him.
He's made up.
And he's done. These are some of his works: Boxers and Saints.
Is he the artist too?
Yes. So he does for some things he just writes, but for others he writes. Like he wrote this graphic novel based on a radio serial that was super good.
Yeah, I've heard that one's good.
Yeah,
I haven't read it though.
And so like he did the drawings for these, but DC hired him to do it. But what I learned, he's also done stuff for the Avatar comics. He wrote the stories for him. So like kind of under the radar. But what I learned and why I think he's great is he was a math teacher. And he published and won awards for these graphic novels while he was teaching math at a high school. And I think that's kind of the excellence that people should be trying to get to. And it wasn't easy. It was hard work. And in his most recent work, his graphic novel, it's called Dragon Hoops. And he follows his high school basketball team on their journey to try and get to the championship and talks about all these people that had to work for excellence. And I think it's really great. And he's awesome. So
yeah, I'll look into it. Let's
check it out.
Yeah, I'm always looking for recommendations of things that aren't garbage because there is a lot of garbage out there, and I like good things. So I'm happy to try. I will watch Young Sheldon, and now I have to watch apparently Arrow season 1 again, even though I did.
You don't have to watch a whole, just pick an episode.
But this has been Screen Rant's Bad Takes. Everybody, I love this segment.
It was a long segment this time.
An hour and 45 minutes in. So now it's time to talk about Raised by Wolves season 1 episode 3. I thought it was pretty good. So that's it for our show tonight. No. I have one more segment. I don't know if this will be a recurring segment, but it might be in the future. I don't have a stinger for it, but I wanted to share a Babylon Bee article, which is a satire website, much like The Onion. They are traditionally significantly more conservative in their satire, but this article, Tanner, you've already seen it.
Yeah.
Made me laugh for 20 minutes straight. And if this becomes a segment, I don't know, I'll call it the best of the bee. I don't know. But here we go. Wokeness strikes again. Nintendo just confirmed that in the Breath of the Wild 2, Zelda will be a girl.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
This is the best example of satire I've ever seen. It's so good. It makes fun of everyone. It's making fun of conservatives and liberals here. It's so good.
That's deliciously good. Yeah.
I don't think I've really ever played a Zelda game, but even I know Zelda's the girl.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
It's so funny. All right, let's talk about let's talk about some Raised by Wolves. I'm excited because Corwin, I haven't really heard you been able to talk about it at all, and Tanner is joining us for the first time after having started the show. So we've all watched up to episode 3 because Jared couldn't bring himself to watch 2 episodes this week, and should we start with Corwin and Tanner, just like general vibes, and then go into the nitty gritty of episode 3 in general?
Go for it, Tanner.
Yeah. So it's already working on multiple levels. Can I talk about how good the title is and why it works on levels?
Please do, because David thinks it's a dumb title.
Okay, so
and I schooled him last time.
It all has to do, I mean, with the saying, sheep in wolf's clothing, or a wolf in sheep's clothing. And that's what we have, because you've got Campion being like, you start the series with, it's just like 2 dorky robots who are like, I will tell you a joke, and it is bad. Yeah, and it seems innocent. And then
she kills everyone.
Yes, and it's like, holy crap! This is not what I was thinking. But then the other kicker for me is the what's his name? Paul's parents.
Well, what are their names? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks his name is Marcus. His real name is Caleb.
Yeah. So Marcus and his wife. I mean, when Marcus is introduced,
Sue/Mary or Marie, I have it written down somewhere.
When they're introduced, you're led to believe he is a member of the religion. He is soul. He's into the soul thing. And then the next episode reveals, they're actually atheists that got in. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. And then that episode focuses on their conflict of, there's a son and we have to raise him.
Such a good reveal.
So you have Campion and the little kid. Is his name Paul, or am I just getting Dune mixed in?
No, the kid's name is Paul.
You have Campion and Paul both being raised by
wolves. Yes.
People who aren't what they appear. And there's also...
It's a good title, David.
Yes.
You dummy.
And then there's also this parallel of the freaking child of the prophecy, and either one of them could be it.
Well, could it? Who's the child? Who is the?
So you have
orphan?
Campion.
Is Campion an orphan? Campion doesn't have parents. He has robot parents. Does that count as an orphan?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so it could be Paul. He's definitely an orphan because Marcus killed his parents. But also, it could be Marcus. in episode 3, you find out he is an orphan.
Yes, that is true. But I really just the title alone and then the characterization playing into that tells me how thoughtful the makers of this series are.
Mhm.
And it's not just, hey, what if there was an android that could kill a bunch of people by Sonic screaming at them? Like there's some thought.
Cool idea, but not a good idea to base the series.
Yeah, and I also am intrigued by the whole atheist versus religion concept, especially when the androids are telling Campion, "You have to have faith in us. You have to believe what we tell you."
Yes. Yes.
Like it's very nuanced and I think very true to like religion in general, where there are people who are like, religion's stupid, but we all have to have faith in certain things in order to survive. And then
the line they've said twice now already. Oh no. Sorry, that's season 2.
Yeah, don't spoil it, 'cause I am into this show and I want to keep watching it.
It's not a spoiler, but there is a line of dialogue that's really poignant. I'll say it. It's not spoiler.
Okay.
There is a character who says that in times of trial and fear, even atheists will find gods to pray to. They will make their own gods, which is okay.
And there's like also
can I say also, Tanner, I'm so glad that you're here, and I love hearing your literary analysis of the show, because I feel like with David I've just been talking to a wall.
Hey, now I've come around.
I think the character, there's a whole lot going on. Especially, I love the actors playing the androids are so
They're
good.
very good.
Father is my favorite. He's great.
Yeah,
Father is the best character in the show. Yes.
And just that even they have that, when in episode 3 when Mother is like, maybe I am killing him, and then Father's like, no, you have to believe in yourself, and then it's revealed the food is poisonous.
The carbos.
Yeah, the carbos are radioactive, and that's why people get sick.
And that's why all of the kids died, and it's like, oh.
And it's like, oh.
So we didn't kill them, but we kind of did kill them.
And there's a lot going on here, and especially as someone who, I
That's a good
think
point.
I have
talking about their acting, they're doing so good that with the Mithraic, when they show up, immediately recognize Mother as an android, despite her she trying to hide it. Yes, she's not human.
As someone who has wrestled with the idea of belief in a higher power and faith, I'm really liking the ideas that this series is wrestling with.
Don't you love how atheism is basically just another religion, though, in the show?
My
favorite line from episode 1 is the please recite the 7 tenets of how the number 8 is manifest in all things of life. Or I have it written down.
Yeah, almost that. It is
Can you please list the ways in which the number 5 relates to all manifestations of life?
Oh, there's a link there to something that was in episode 4, but I won't talk about it because
it's literally it's like doing like a Catholic prayer. Do your recitations of how atheism is so important.
There's a lot there. Then the other thing I will say. Almost medieval religious paladins with guns and spaceships.
Knights Templar.
I can use PG-13 language, right?
Yeah.
Badass. That is.
Oh yeah.
It was so cool. I really love that whole aesthetic of them wearing armor and robes and then shooting guns. Yeah, it's so cool.
It's very pleasing.
I am. I'm really excited for this series, and I'm glad you turned us on to it.
and the mullets are nice too.
Oh yeah, like so many
I don't know
mullets.
about that.
Corwin, what do you think? What do you think about Raised by Wolves?
Give me 30 seconds.
Okay.
I can riff for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward.
Oh, I have something maybe you didn't notice.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I already brought up on previous shows. I believe it's in episode 1 when Spiria, the last of the original of the first generation to die. When she no, it's not Spiria. It's the first one who falls down the hole.
Yeah.
When she wanders off, she's singing a song that the androids taught her.
Yes.
Did you listen to the lyrics of that song?
No, I couldn't decipher them, but it comes up again when Paul is lost in the woods.
Yes, it does.
And isn't it? It sounds a lot like. Oh, I'm wondering if I'm getting into episode 4 now, but the prayer for the soulless.
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar to me.
No, that the prayer for the soulless comes up in episode 3. That's the ending of episode 3. I think it's different. I might have to go back and listen to them, but the lyrics of the song are: "It's very heavy and I'm hot, but I'm very strong. I'm doing lots of pottery. My hands are full," and then it gets cut off. It's a song written by a robot.
Yeah.
It's literally father or mother trying to entertain the children and understanding the tenets of music, but not having the soul behind it. Just looking around the rooms, I am making pottery. There is a door on the wall, and we live in the house in the middle of the desert. Like, it's just a completely unnecessary detail that just adds so much spice.
Yeah.
To like I love it.
This is I think it's the sign of a good world, like a good
world building,
media, like world building, when there's little things like that are just like, oh, like, freaking is no, that's episode 4, but the new space pope getting carried around
on a
I'm like, you're kidding me, but like that is totally in line with what this religion would do.
He's I wrote it down. Why can't I think of on a litter? He's being carried around on a litter. Yeah. Corwin, it's been 30 seconds. We vamped for like a minute and a half.
I also the virtual world on the Ark.
On the Ark, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was that episode 3 or was that episode 2?
It's 2 and 3. You get more of it in 3.
And then more in, I think, 4. Yeah, you get a lot more in 4 as well.
More of it later too.
Such good character development between the two.
We're gonna, it's gonna take 10 years to get to the planet. We're gonna put you in hibernation, but your minds will be active, and so that they don't turn to mush, we've created a virtual reality for you to play in.
Yeah,
it's genius.
And then
they have to pretend to be this kid's parents for 10 years, and he's immediately suspicious of it because his parents are terrible and they're being nice all of a sudden. And it comes up in this episode where Marcus brings Paul a gift of a mouse, and he immediately says, "No, I don't want to kill it. I don't care if it makes me weak." And you're like, this guy's dad sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a good moment.
I was bringing you a present.
And I
wasn't going to make you kill the mouse.
The characterization too, because we kind of flash back to those scenes where you have the mom being like, "I can't be his mom. I can't do this.
I can't."
And
I'm
then,
not even
like,
able.
you're in
I'm
the
not
present,
even
and she's
capable of
like,
having kids. She's
Yeah.
barren.
Yeah, and then in the present, she's like, freaking Paul's alive. We got to do everything to save him.
Yeah.
And like the
Yeah.
actors did such a good job at
You know-
showing
You know
that
how
over time they grew to love him.
You know how when we were watching the Book of Boba Fett and we were complaining how there was no parallel between the flashback and the current day events?
Yeah.
Yes. This is
And-
exactly opposite.
This is how you do that. It's showing two different timelines, and there's a reason for it. Corwin, what do you think of Raised by Wolves?
It is. I liked how Tanner described it. It is so that I was going to bring some of that stuff
It's
up.
weird, right?
It is weird as all get out. It is weird.
And
Like,
I
there's some
love it.
stuff in it. I'm just like, it's really, really good, but it's just like, it is like, there's some, it's hard to explain. Like, if you haven't seen Raised by Wolves, as a
It's
person who doesn't
weird. It's
watch
a
TV
weird
shows,
show.
I don't like to watch TV shows. It's really hard for me to explain it apart from it's really good, but it's weird, but in a very good way weird.
It's the
so
kind
I'm
of
really
weird where
excited.
you're like, oh, I want to watch the next episode.
Yeah, exactly. Even my wife.
I don't know what's happening, but I'm
I sat down and started
intrigued.
watching it with Jess, and my wife looked at me and she was like, "This is good," and she said, she's like, "This is good."
Jessica liked it.
It's weird, but it's good. I was like, "Yeah, it is so weird, but it is very good." So
I haven't
Yeah,
gotten
my
my
wife-
wife to watch yet.
yeah, my wife liked it. So we're continuing to watch it. It's very unique. A lot of the perspectives they do on religion is very fascinating.
And it's not just black and white. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys.
Right. The whole concept of
It makes you think about stuff.
the whole concept of like they have super advanced technology, but they really don't at the same time.
Yeah, it's a sci-fi, and still into all these years in the future, all these advancements in technology, they are still just
Farming.
just animals subject to the horrors of this new world.
Yeah. Yep. It's very interesting. So it is
Their
something
kids
that-
all died of radiation poisoning.
It is something I will continue to watch, so not just so I can comment here on this little live stream, but just out of enjoyment, like something because my wife likes to watch TV shows, so it's something I will be watching just because I want to watch it, which says something. So like I said, I am not a big TV show watcher guy. I don't commit to it. I'd rather go play Destiny or Diablo. I'd rather go play a video game. So for me to say, yeah, I'm not gonna try to beat The Witcher 3 with a spoon, and I'm gonna go watch a TV show is something else. So
I had to stop myself from going on.
I was just going to bring this up. So Tanner, you already let slip. You've already watched past episode 3.
I watched like the first 10 or 15 minutes of episode 4, and that was when I texted you. I was like, "Hey, are we stopping at 3 or 4?" I was like, "Come on, 4."
Well, you can thank Jared, who had to drive to Utah and back.
And I was like,
I
"Okay."
know. I'm like, I might have been able to watch more this week, but it was
it's you want to keep going, though, right? It's not like it's hard to put down.
They're compelling characters, excellent writing,
and
totally unique world building,
good acting.
And I think one of
the pacing is great.
The pacing,
you get a little bit of the
biggest,
world built.
One of its biggest strengths is it gives you just enough breadcrumbs, right? Like I just finished the season 2 finale. That was this Thursday. There are 10 episodes in season 1 and 8 episodes in season 2, and I still don't know what's happening, but there have been a lot of questions answered, and it strings you along just enough to say, like, there is something going on, right? And it's crazy and weird, and we're gonna figure it out together. And here's a little bit more. You got to keep watching, and it's I've never once felt which the feeling which often plagues TV shows of, okay, this episode was obviously filler just to pad the runtime, and let's please get to the overarching story now. I've never once felt that. Every time I watch an episode, I was like, I have a little bit more information and a couple new questions that I didn't have before. But it keeps giving you goodies, just enough to string you along.
Yeah, that's what I'm really enjoying about this show, because it is weird, and there's lots of questions, but it does a really good job of answering them, and I really like the dichotomy with these different religious beliefs, and it's really good. I think I am coming around on the title. I do have,
especially in episode 3.
Well, no, episode 3
beat you over the head with the metaphor.
Exactly. That's what I wish they wouldn't do. I wish they wouldn't have these ham-fisted shoehorn tie-ins. It's like, oh, remember that's why we named it the show.
You were complaining. You were like, why is the show called Raised by Wolves? I don't get it.
No, but there are things that they shoehorn in there, like her randomly howling when the first child died, and then in this episode where she gives the story of the
three little pigs.
It's just like, oh, these are little things we put in there so we could justify us naming the thing. I do
David.
like Tanner. I really like your breakdown of of why it's called Raised by Wolves, and you have the wolves in sheep's clothing on both sides. I like that. Why couldn't they just leave it at that? They have to put these little ham-fisted tie-ins there.
It works in this episode specifically because Campion, for the first time, is questioning mother and father. He does, because he's introduced to a new group of beliefs, and they're saying mom and dad are evil. They probably poisoned all of your brothers and sisters and killed them just to keep you in line. They're saying your parents are wolves in sheep's clothing, okay? And all they do is scare you to make you obey. And he says, wait, that has happened. My mom can make you see things when she wants you to get scared. So maybe my entire life has been a lie. It's so good. And like she tells the story of the three little pigs in this episode to scare the kids.
Yeah.
Say, hey, there's dangers out there.
My rule of thumb when I'm teaching people about interpretation is you got to look for those obvious breadcrumbs first, like the big chunks of ham-fisted things that you see, and then those clue you into the smaller details where you're like, okay, like the title of a piece of work, if it's good, it's going to have some kind of tie into the thematic elements. And so, David, I think you're really right. Telling the story of the three little pigs in its entirety, kind of, on the nose.
But they didn't tell the whole story.
The only reason it was there is because of the name of the show. The same thing. The only reason why she howled like a wolf when her kids died was because of the name of the show. No other thematic purpose.
That's a good thing.
That's what I don't like about it. It's so ham-fisted.
It's so thematic. What do you mean?
Before even going in, I thought of the Legend of Rome and how it was founded with Romulus and Remus being, raised by a she-wolf. And so I think, yes, they are doing some things to make the title work. But I think there's, when Alan said there are humans on a new planet being raised by androids, I'm like, okay, friggin' founding of Rome, Romulus and Remus, you got a she-wolf, like raising, there's a lot that I can appreciate from the title.
I agree.
So go ahead.
Yeah, and like I said, as I'm watching more and more episodes, and then with your explanation there, I'm appreciating the title more and more. I just wish they wouldn't put these little ham-fisted things in there to remind you that, of the title, the name of the title. It's just, I don't know, it's a little bunch.
I think of it as just sprinkles on top, man.
All right. You go ahead and keep thinking that.
You go ahead and keep thinking Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was a good movie.
I didn't say it was a good movie. I said there were parts of it I enjoyed.
I have a text from you that said I really liked it.
Prove it.
Actually, it might not be on my phone anymore because I've had like 3 different phones.
Liar.
I don't know if it's still saved.
Liar.
It's like a 5-year-old movie too.
Liar.
It doesn't have any text saved past 2021.
They're alive, like me.
Yeah, we can't see that.
Anyways, I like how in this episode she steals the eyes from another android. It's like,
Yeah.
This
Well,
android has a
one.
thing for
Well,
eyes. I think it's
one.
really cool. What?
She only gets one though.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool and
It's a cool
interesting. It's a cool visual and it's a cool, I guess, mechanic. She switches out her eyes for different purposes because they were built for different robots different androids that were programmed for different purposes. It's cool. It's really awesome. I do have one other small criticism for this episode.
Okay, please
Tell
me how the show's bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. That's what I'm saying. It's a good. I'm nitpicking here because it's a good show.
Yeah.
But yeah, one other issue I thought was a little bit weird and jarring is they're doing a flashback scene, right, with them in the pod, in the virtual world.
VR.
Yeah, and then within that flashback scene, you have yet another flashback scene of him being conscripted as a child soldier, and I thought that was a little bit weird placement to do a flashback within a flashback. I think they should have been separate.
It makes perfect sense narratively.
Sure, but you're already in a flashback. It was just jarring. He's remembering his time in the thing, and then he remembers within the remembering of another flashback. It was a little bit weird.
All right,
I have a question.
Make sure everyone knows. David thinks Inception was a bad movie because there was a dream inside of a dream. Go on, Tanner.
I think I get this, but the yellow packs that the atheist soldiers had, those enhance their abilities, right?
It's not super clear. It was just like a sci-fi device thing that made them super fast and stuff.
Yeah, and then when they die, they become bombs.
It's unclear if I think that is what they were trying to say is that it's kind of like a suicide bomb thing.
Either that or it was just damaged,
or it got damaged and started hurting her.
Gotcha.
It was a good scene. I liked it. I liked all of it.
Either way, though, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was good. We got to
and it's showing
know a lot more.
The atheists are kind of just as bad as the Mithraic. So,
yeah,
war is hell. So the kids escape mother in this episode 3. We've already talked about most of these other notes that I have. Campion begins to distrust his mother because she can make you see things. And
then they get lost in the woods.
So is this the one where they lock father in the thing?
Yes.
Okay, that was stupid.
Why?
Because I just remember okay, so first off.
Well, so Paul says, "Hey, I can't find my mouse," and so he says, Campion says, "Oh, I know where it is," and he leads father into the room and says, "It's down here. Go reach for it," and then he locks him in.
Yes, I get that part. I get that part.
Yes.
The part that's stupid is that how long did it take for him to get out of that hut?
Well, he was trying to parent.
Yeah.
Right. Or mimic being, an android's understanding of parenting. He says, "Let me out. If you don't do it, you'll be." You heard him counting down, "Let me out." He knows he can get out himself, but he's trying to use the opportunity as a teaching moment, and just does not understand that Campion is running away.
Okay, but here's the thing: the door,
it's cool.
You could see through the door, right?
Yeah.
So you could see if he was there or not. Right? So you could see if talking to him and trying to parent him actually was working.
I know, but I think it's beautiful because it's an android clearly just not getting the context clues and trying to mimic being a parent. I love it.
That makes sense. But at the same time, I'm it took him 20 minutes to finally hit.
Yeah, it did go on a little too long.
I'm dude, it's a door that you could see through to see if Campion is even there. First off,
Yes, but the entire time he's trying to calculate, okay, what kind of decision should I make if I wait for him to let me out? Is that a better choice than breaking down the door and maybe sowing more distrust? And it's just like, oh, like that's kind of one of those gray areas that a computer would have a very hard time figuring out what the right choice, the logical choice would be.
and I get that. All I'm saying
because
is
you have two counterintuitive directives, and it needs to figure out which ones has a more priority.
I could understand that. The only thing is, like, while watching, it seemed out of place, and it took too long for him to escape. I was like, dude, if you're gonna break down the door, break down the door. Just get it done with. Like, what? Why are you taking 20 minutes?
He gets there eventually.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Jared.
Tanner,
I did like that, but it did take too long.
Thank you for raising your hand, Tanner. Please.
No, I just think it's funny that how things have changed, because we've had times where we've discussed something that Alan did not like, and we would give explanations about why it worked in context.
And this is my baby,
like,
yes.
But it was stupid. And now we have the other side where Jared's like, technically, and then.
But I have an answer. I have an answer for everything. In my opinion, is always correct. Thank you very much.
That's funny. But also,
no, I know. And Tanner and I have gotten into very heated discussions off stream. We've yelled at each other.
We one thing that is mentioned in the episode is mother and father.
Can I say the problem is Jared is thinking like a human. And not thinking like an android, and that's why he thinks it's stupid. But go on.
That could be the case. Actually, I could understand that.
You only don't like the show because you're human. It would be cool to you if you were a robot.
But here's the thing: they're telling a story to humans. So
shut up! It's cool. It's cool. Tanner, go.
Mother and father have this discussion of, father, you're being too kind or too loving.
Yes,
and it could be a detriment.
It's explained.
And that's I mean,
she specifically says that your attempt to mimic human kindness is only going to cause more harm to these humans.
Yeah. And so that's what happened, where he was trying to be patient and give Campion the chance to open the door of his own volition and repent and change, instead of being like, if these kids go out here, they're going to fall in a pit and get killed by monsters.
Okay. Can I add something then to that?
Yes.
No. Only if you're saying you're right.
No. So here's another stupid thing about it. So all it shows him is saying, "Let me out."
You're off the stream. You're off the stream. You're off the stream.
Hey. I thought you really did it for a second.
No. So all it shows is. All it shows is him going, "Let me out, let me out," and then he punches a hole through the door. Rather than saying, "Let me out," and then trying to like open the door, and like maybe pushing the door open, he punches a hole through the door and then unlocks it or whatever.
Because that was the most practical decision. He knew that there was a bar, so he punched a hole, pulled the bar up, and got out. That was a computer being practical.
If he was trying to mimic human kindness, he would have done human things.
See? Thanks. See,
but it did less damage. If he pushes on the door, that breaks down the whole frame of the door, and that's more work later. It's a practical decision.
I'm just trying to play both sides.
You are. You're making this way worse, Tanner. At first, you were on my side, and you've stabbed me in the back like Oedipus of old.
Like mother stabbed father?
I was trying to make a Rome reference and sound smart like Tanner, and I used the wrong one.
That's Brutus.
I know.
Having Caesar. Oedipus
I'm sorry. You stabbed me in the back by having sex with my mom, like Oedipus of old. Is that better? Does that fix
No,
it?
It's much worse.
Yeah, no. So that's the way that I see this. This show is like, there's some good things about it, but then there's still some things where I watch it and I'm like, what the fetch? Why did they do that? Like,
I'm with you, Jared. But yeah, it's really good though. Wait till episode 5 is where it all comes together. And you're like, oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
But another thing that I did want to bring up though too is I thought it was interesting how they brought in this concept of Marcus as the imposter, trying to like know or show that he knows the culture, right? Like, for example,
yes.
when the commander's like, let's do this. And he's like, no, we can't do that. And then he's like, the soldier's like, why? Why can't we do that? And Marcus is like, because the light teaches us that
it was a test. It was a test all along.
Yeah. Right. And so it's
well, but then he also uses the knowledge to his advantage too later on when he's talking to the commander and he raises his voice so that everyone else will hear, like, oh well, Soul would not abandon Soul's children.
Yeah.
And so forcing the commander to make the choice he didn't want to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really good. I loved in this episode how they killed this kid's parents, but then sometime in the 10 years that they've been in stasis, yeah, they're like, we've got to be parents to this child. At first they were just like, we've got to keep up pretenses so that we don't get found out, right? But somewhere along the line they're like, this is our kid and we've got to protect him. I thought that was fascinating.
Yes.
Marcus and Sue are very good characters.
Yeah.
My
very
favorite
well written characters, I should clarify.
Was when the Duck Duck Goose.
Yeah.
And like that little bonding moment there.
Yeah.
And with the also,
other kids
he runs through the group of other kids so that they say, hey, maybe you should play with my kid,
Yeah. And then also the fact that we had seen just these are like soldier warriors, and then you have the priestess that's like, it's good to see that you're happy and we're going to a world where we won't have to fight anymore. Like,
oh, how wrong they were.
Yeah. Like so morally
there will be no war in our new Eden, and so it is good to see that you have found to enjoy the finer things in life. Yes.
It's not black and white. I don't want to. I think
it's all beige.
There's a place
literally
stories where things are black and white, like Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
dark side, good side,
dark side, light side, and there's a place for that story. But I think a lot of modern media tries to be like, oh, maybe the bad guys aren't so bad, and it's like one scene to justify it.
Mm-hmm.
And here it's like,
if you want to do it, this is how to do it.
Yeah, it's all written to be.
This is all. Go ahead.
No, like it's you don't know who to root for in this show, and it only gets worse in that, like, okay, like there are some very, 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 very bad things that happen, and you're like, I get it though, like, and I don't know who's wrong here. It's absolutely wonderful how well these characters from both perspectives are written.
Yeah, everyone is morally gray, and it's fantastic.
I think, like, Alan, one that you really hated was Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Where the antagonists, they tried to make them sympathetic, but they were
in the same episode where they are burning people alive.
Yeah. And
you got to stop calling them terrorists, man.
I think I get it now.
Even though they're burning people to death.
Now with this series where I've seen how you do good moral grayness, I get it now, and I'm less inclined to try and justify it in Falcon the Winter Soldier.
Are you saying I was right?
I'm saying you had a point, not that you were totally.
Which means
right.
Which means I was what?
You had a point.
Say it.
No, I'm not going to. I don't think you were right everywhere. Because you were like, these people, like, the issue is they didn't really write it well, but you're like, really no, this was what they were trying. No, they had an idea in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they were too bad at writing to communicate it. And you buy into, no, they're terrible people, and the show wanted us to root for them.
My opinion, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a love letter to Black Lives Matter. Yes.
I don't think I want to get into the
and Antifa
Black Lives Matter organization right now. I don't think
it was more so Antifa, but there are several connections between those groups. But yeah, it was like justifying all of the riots, and I'm like, that's but.
Alrighty then.
But you're correct. That's my opinion on it.
I think,
it's okay to have different opinions.
Yeah. I think the moral grayness is done well here. That's
done super well.
Like, I'm trying to think of other examples. Like The Last Jedi, no, Rise of Skywalker, where they tried to be like, oh, Poe did drugs and ran drugs, and he's not the good guy you think he is. Like, there's just one little scene to do that, and it's like, not everything's so black and white, huh? And like, when you point that out, it's just like, here there are clearly defined character motivations, and bad things are done in order to accomplish those motivations, and that's what makes it
good.
Right.
Good. Yeah. Did
Another
you guys?
Sorry, you go ahead.
No. Did you guys?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Did you guys notice in the scene where the kids run away, the lost doll?
Yes.
That Paul finds.
Yes, very intriguing. I wonder what that could be about.
What do you guys think that's about?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I'm not going to answer because I've watched.
Okay.
More.
Well, obviously, father and mother told the kids to stay away from the pits because at least one of them assumed the child fell down the pit. But the fact that her doll is out in the woods, and there was that callback to the little song she was singing, says that may not be the case. And we already know that they haven't been honest in everything, whether their intentions were good or not. And who knows?
Interesting takes.
That's my theory on it so far. And I also, the night monster, like, obviously they got to show us what's down at the bottom of the pits. There's something going on down there.
There is.
And then also the vampire wolves, whatever the monsters are.
The
creature
thingies.
Yeah, they're humanoid in appearance, almost as if they've been.
Yes.
And there's the prophecy.
Almost as if they've been what?
Corrupted in some way. Or they've evolved to survive on the planet that way. And then what I'm concerned about are these prophecies.
Yeah.
Because there are things that the religious cult is saying that's like, oh, and there are things lining up. But is it them just seeing things to fit into their prophecies, or is this like a legit prophecy that they've made? So,
is it ever? I cannot wait for you guys to catch up to season 2. Okay, it's so good.
I really like these creatures that they're encountering. I call them the Reavers because they remind me of the Reavers in Serenity Firefly. But we'll see.
That is an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
Another thing that I find really interesting is at the end of this episode, you see, there's obviously changed dynamics between Campion and father and mother, and you get father talking to Campion, talking about like his motivations as a robot. He's saying like, look, I need to be useful. I need to keep you alive, and I can't do that. Like he explains his
programming
contradicting priorities, and he's like androids don't exist on the same level as humans. Like we exist to have a purpose, and my purpose is to be useful and to keep you alive, and it's super interesting. And Campion misinterprets that and says, oh no, I will tell mother that you are useful. I will tell her that you saved us.
Yeah.
And father in that moment wasn't scared of mother. He was just saying, I'm here to protect you. And Campion says, it interpreted that conversation as, please convince Mother that I have use so she doesn't kill me again. I thought that was a really interesting moment.
Yeah. This was the episode at the very end that he gives Campion the potato
Yes.
to go analyze, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's radioactive.
Yeah. So now I think it's a really interesting, Campion's torn because he doesn't quite trust Mother and Father anymore. But then he knows that, at least partially
they were right.
They were right, and they're, they weren't
that doesn't mean he can
trying
still
to kill
trust
the children.
them. But...
Yeah, exactly. But I think
great.
it's interesting now because he's torn. He's like, well, yeah, they're trying to protect us. They weren't trying to kill us, but they're also not being truthful. And Mother is super dangerous and crazy.
And those eyes are scary. Yeah.
Jacob Ironside said there's elements in the show that remind me of Warhammer 40K. I think you brought that up last week.
Right? Because of the necromancers.
The necromancers,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with 40K. But
there are some parallels.
There's some aesthetic parallels, I guess, with the Mithraic religion and some of the factions in Warhammer 40K, from what I've seen from the figures,
Yeah, I just spaced on.
I don't know the name of
Space
the
Marines.
But Space Marines, yeah, something.
Kind of similar, yeah. I keep going back and forth on whether I want to dive down the 40K rabbit hole, but I have some Warhammer miniatures, but I just use them for D&D.
Yeah,
because they are expensive than D&D.
They are very expensive. Games Workshop is not cheap.
But 3D
good build, good models though.
Yeah,
out of all of the models I've worked with, by far the best quality, by far the most expensive, by like exponentially more expensive, not just like not even more than twice as much,
Yeah.
But they are good models. Just the cost is the big thing for me, and I enjoy like the storytelling aspects of D&D a little bit more than the fighting, but I do like fighting. So I think 3D printing is going to fix that, and I might get into it.
Yeah.
So that's basically episode 3. How many episodes are we willing to watch for next week?
Oh, please, me too.
I think
I want to start watching again.
Episode 5 does answer a lot of questions.
Episode 4 is really good, and then episode 5 answers a lot of questions, and it's really good.
And half the people have already gotten that far.
I have a lot of homework this week, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to
Jared.
As do I. I've got my final project coming up.
I remember a time when I was in college, and that's when I graduated. Suckers.
Hey, I've got 1 year left.
Does Jared have too much homework? He can't watch 2 episodes of a TV show in 7 days.
I'll never forget when my wife still had a semester and I didn't, and I was just like,
It's not whether or not I can; it's whether or not I should.
Oh, do you have to ask your mommy for permission?
Wow, really?
Hey, do you guys know how many years Alan was in college for?
You know how he changed his major at the end because he. Sorry.
Yeah, because maybe I prioritized TV shows over homework. Okay, so it's not much to ask anyone else to make the same sacrifice. Okay,
that's funny.
It took me 10 years, 11 years to graduate, a decade. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I was working.
You should. Yeah.
I was working full time.
And you had a family.
And going to school, not full time, and trying to change my major several times, and then it eventually turned into I have to get out of here with a piece of paper. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should be shamed for trying to get more education, and whatever path you have to take, you have to take. I just think we need to keep Alan in check when he teases other people a little bit.
Thanks, Tanner.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm just taking one class at a time, and I'll get there when I get there. So,
Oh.
but at least I'm not cheapening out and changing my major because I couldn't meet the requirements.
I got a minor in computer science. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it was funny. I'd taken so many Spanish classes just because I liked it, but I was like, obviously you can make more money in computer science. And then I was just like looking over my stuff. I was like, wait a second. I have more credits in Spanish than I do in computer science. What am I doing? I'll just get a Spanish degree.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just works out, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys? So I mentioned this to Alan. I wanted to see what you guys thought. Have you guys ever seen the YouTube channel Viva La Dirt League?
No.
That name rings a bell. I might have seen.
So you've probably seen a couple of their videos. They're the ones that do like video game logic shorts, where they make fun of just ridiculous logic in video games.
Oh,
like talking to NPC, like doing a video from the perspective of an NPC, or making fun of like the Skyrim mechanic where the game pauses when you pickpocket someone, and you can just like down 100 wheels of cheese and like stuff like that,
or like fast traveling. Like what fast traveling really like,
or how girls' armor is bikinis and men's armor is practical, and if you pick up, and if a female character picks it up, it changes. But,
yeah.
So
I've seen several.
They're pretty funny, but yeah, Corwin has a thing he wants us to watch.
They created an actual like 30-minute movie, so not like a minute-long skit,
really,
but like a 30-minute movie. Entitled Balin's Route. And
I've seen that thumbnail.
Yeah, there's a character in their particular video called Epic NPC Man, and that's kind of what they like. Some of these NPCs, these non-playable characters, have gotten a form of sentient being. Like they know they're a character in a video game,
but they can't do anything about it.
They can't do anything about it. And there's so some of them like have that, and obviously some of them don't. And there's this one character. His name is Balin, and the only line that the programmers gave him is "Good morning. It's a nice day for fishing, ain't it?" That's the only line that they programmed him to have. So, like, he'll walk down the street, he walks by like a player that's playing, and they just have him say, he's like, "Morning, nice day for fishing, ain't it?" Like that's all he says. And they did an entire, and no one they keep alluding. Sometimes they're like, where does he go to fish? Like nobody knows. like what like he just shows up. And anyway, they did a whole
the whole movie is just a day in the life of Balin.
It's an adventure in the life of him.
And, that's awesome.
And it is, and they did it themselves. They filmed it themselves. They did all of it. And I kind of wanted to see your guys' opinion on it. I watched it, and I thought it was the best. I thought it was arguably one of the best TV shows or independent movies, short movies that I've probably ever seen. For their scope, everything from the graphics, because they have some funny little fights, to the acting, to the Balin has this. He's the main character, and he has to talk, but the only line he can say is "Morning, nice day for fishing, ain't it?" And he actually makes it is phenomenal. I wanted to get your guys' take on it, especially after we watched the bull crap that was the Book of Boba and a few other stuff, like a few others, these episodes or these series that we've talked about, the Arrow, Luke Cage, a lot of them, they have these multi-million-dollar budgets per episode, $10 million an episode is their budget. And then these guys come out and just because they love what they do, they create this 30-minute short video, and it is epic. So if you guys have time, I was blown away by how good it was. I really was. I was absolutely astounded by
It's funny. It's got some action stuff in it. It's got emotional stuff in it, and they blew it out of the park. So I just kind of wanted to see what your guys' takes were next week on that. And anyone who's watching, if you haven't seen it, paying attention to the stream right now, if you haven't seen it, just Viva La Dirt League, Balin's Route. It is amazing.
I just added it to my watch list. That's really good. I have seen a lot of their stuff. They're when a player skips the NPC dialogue, that was gold.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. They've got a lot of good ones.
You should look up the one where they talk
Jared,
about dirty
watch
names.
3 things. Make Jared watch 3 things. Make Jared watch 3 things.
If you get 2 seconds, go watch their. Go watch the. It's only like 15 seconds long, where he just makes fun of the dirty names that these stupid people in video games make.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Good morning." I don't want to say that. It's really funny. It's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch Balin's Route, and then it'll be very quick. I don't think you guys, because again, it's not like they had $1 billion people or $1 million to make this thing. It was them and their regular crew, and they made something phenomenal.
Yeah.
We can also probably talk about it if Jared doesn't watch it. So
I will try to watch it.
Are you going to do 2 episodes?
Maybe I might be able to fit 2 in. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Worst case scenario, we'll talk about episodes 4 and 5, and you can duck out for the last half, or you can get stuff spoiled, like we spoiled Batman for you.
Oh,
okay. All right.
No, we
It
did
was
that
last
last
week.
week.
okay.
He still hasn't
He's
seen
had
it.
4 weeks to watch this thing. It's his fault by now.
I still haven't seen it.
You're on a nerd show, and you.
I get it. There's a lot of stuff to watch.
Yeah, there is. So next week we'll if you're following along, watching our videos, we'll talk about Raised by Wolves episodes 4 and 5 and Viva Dirt League's Balin's Route, and then the next week after that is Moon Knight too.
Nice.
So we can do 1 episode of Moon Knight and 1 episode of Raised by Wolves, and hopefully talk about 2 good things. We might be talking about 1 good thing and 1 bad thing. I'm so glad that there are a few good shows out there, because like this has been like a refreshing delight watching Raised by Wolves.
Yeah.
After having gone over the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And the second half of the Wheel of Time season 1.
I still haven't watched the last episode of that. I just don't care. I finished the book and I was like, oh, that was good. But I don't care to finish the series.
It did not end well. I was very disappointed.
You're going to have to watch it eventually before season 2.
I'll watch the Cliff Notes.
I didn't think it was that bad. Then again, I haven't read the books. I'm in the middle of the first book right now. But I didn't think it was that bad. But it definitely did dive bomb the last couple episodes. It definitely took like a major. It was like, whoa.
It's not a terrible show. It's just not the last half of it was not very good, and if you've read the books, it's borderline terrible. But the first half was really faithful, with the exception of a couple minor decisions that they made. But then the second half just gets worse and progressively worse. But the same thing happened to my wife, Corbin. She liked the TV show, and then she read the book, and she hates the show now. She's on book 5. So,
oh wow, jeez, yeah,
and she's like, I tried to get her to watch the fan edit that I reviewed on my channel, which is a much better experience. If you watch anything, maybe just stick to that. And she fell asleep and was just like, I just couldn't do it. Like I just kept remembering how bad the TV show was.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I gotta go.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good place to end it. Next week, Raised by Wolves episodes 4 and 5. It's been a blast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching the show. I love doing this. I love talking to you guys, and I love having a good thing to talk about. So, thanks. Anyone else have anything to say?
No. Looking forward to Moon Knight and Kenobi after that.
Kenobi drops in later.
Yeah, it's going to be a while, but I'm hopeful.
I
It's
am
not on my
right
schedule
with
yet.
you. I'm hoping and praying, and man, have a good one, Jacob. We'll see you.
Bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys.